generic.
God.
SYS is system.
Yeah.
Oh, Genesis. Yeah,
Genesis,
generic system.
generic
All right,
system.
got it.
Yeah.
I never even thought about that either, but it's like I can
Okay.
see it now.
I approve of it now.
Yeah, see? It works out. Hi, everybody. This is Chris with Drop Dice. We're talking about the spelling of the Genesis Core rulebook, which is a new addition to my gaming libraries. There it is. I recently learned that I can do Super Sentai with it, so I bought a hard copy, and that's coming to the channel eventually.
And now he's super disappointed that he can't get the L5R date because FFG can't get their release date set.
Yeah, they said at the end of the year when I purchased the Genesis Core book, and then 2 days later they updated L5R's release date, and now I'm sad. I'll have to get it later. But there'll be more L5R with the new system. But right now, what we're here for is Burning Wheel. So let's talk about last game. Last game was interesting. You guys found a couple caves and some
Found a
stuff in the
couple of,
caves.
I discovered
lots
it like dead bodies.
disgusting stuff and torturing stuff.
Jam-packed with dead bodies that were tortured and mutilated. Had elven scripture carved in them and stuff. Well, not scripture, but elven.
Also, we half summoned an elf.
Well, one thing that elf is like half of them is a hand.
Okay.
I think half is the appropriate.
We
fraction
1/8
here.
summoned an elf.
that is you.
I would say more along the lines of 1/12 of an elf.
All we know is that we cost that elf an arm.
There's a pun to be
hand.
made
I was
there.
gonna say, using horse measurements, elves are 15 hands tall.
Okay.
So I would go with something along the lines of about 1/15th, 1/16th.
All right. We 1/15th summoned an elf.
How much is a hand?
You cut off the hand and a little bit of the bits afterward, so you have a severed elf hand that is
So,
not moving around like Thing or anything.
With some tendons and shit.
You also have an empty sepulcher
Where there should be
a saint, or at least someone who is of saintly station, but not recognized by the church.
Important.
You have a book that is a rudimentary elven alphabet book.
A, B, kill the humans.
That shows that someone's been practicing. You recently discovered a letter I shouldn't say a letter. You recently discovered what the writing is, which was Ethaben peasants serve no Leroux. All Leroux will leave Ethaben land, or there will be no safety. Just as a friendly reminder, because I know these names and things can be a little confusing, Ethaben is the forces that, from so far in our investigation, sound like they were guilty of being really aggressive warmongers, but not necessarily doing anything wrong, per se. And the Leroux seem to be behind a lot of problems, even to themselves. They are our French analogous, whereas our Ethaben is our Spain analogous.
I don't like the fact they're hating on French people.
Everybody hates the French.
So
Even
all
the French don't like themselves.
That's why
all
they
the
don't shower.
folks in the caves were Althedge, right?
I'm sorry, say that again?
All the people we found in the caves, the people who were tortured, they were all Althedge, right?
Yes. Every single one of the tortured, mutilated, and otherwise bodies were from Althedge.
So we've got some, I would say Ethaben extremists, but Ethaben also was complicit in, how many people dying from poison?
A lot.
Or was it Althedge? Everyone's guilty. Shame.
I'm okay with everybody being guilty.
Again, if history has taught us anything, it's these white men are dangerous.
That's a common theme.
I mean, our French analogous, they're all dark-skinned. I went with kind of a Moorish look.
These Moorish men are dangerous. Let's just put it this way. It's a fantasy setting. These men are dangerous.
That is true.
Fair enough.
This is why I'm glad I'm a dwarf.
The elves are far more dangerous, but these men don't realize it. All right, cool. You were fed a couple of clues, and you guys had a couple of things that you were thinking about doing, which included splitting the party. Since this is an investigation, that makes a lot of sense. One of them was going to investigate Howester Fort because there is the Lord Knight Marcos de Alcedo, who suffers a birth defect and wears a mask, who you believe he may know something about what's going on, or may be connected to it somehow.
Well, I think I believe that. I don't think anybody else believes me.
That is fair.
We will believe you if you come back dead. Or not at all.
Sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan. Let's do this.
Come back dead and tell us.
You were also interested in checking out the death site of Saint Celine, which Saint Celine is from Aldhedge, and her funeral was attacked by Ethaben soldiers, according to record.
Her funeral or burial site?
It was a funeral at her death site. Like, there was a parade that started from where she fell to go to her actual burial site. Let's see here. And then you also have a meetup in the town of Lanarcost, which is where the group will get together, but there is some time for that. You also have the investigators from, let's see, Aldhedge, who are waiting with the peasants from Swordbreak Village off to the side by your orders. The Ethaben investigators were the ones that found the second cave entrance and reported it. You sent those back to the peasants as well. They are now forming a perimeter with their personal guard. So I think that pretty much sums up where we were at last time. I did dole out some rewards for you guys. And then I set up Kiva with a couple of instincts and beliefs because she's becoming a more prominent character. It seemed appropriate. That way I have some reminders of what her goals in this story are as well. So as we do with Burning Wheel, I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Remember, we're going to play to our beliefs and things like that. By now, you probably have some beliefs that are focused around this story or some instincts that are focused around this story. Tell me, how do you guys want to handle this next bit here? I know, Murdoch, you were talking about maybe a scene before we break too far from the caves. That might be a good place to start.
All right. Sorry, I just ate, and now I'm going to get the... There we go. So I will approach Lady Kiva. And as I do, you know, I do not look happy. And I say to Lady Kiva, Kiva of Lorecastle, we need to speak.
She's still got her crossbow out. It's kind of like she's holding it across her chest. She kind of pauses for a moment. She breaks military form for a second, and she says, "Is this really the time?" And then she kind of catches herself, and you can see her like kind of bite back her tongue, and she takes a step forward to walk with you.
He'll kind of force out a laugh and say, you know, that there is no better time than the present. Tomorrow may never come. You may know this, but I mean to form a militant order to stop what I know to be coming. And unfortunately, I've tried to do it, you surface dweller ways, your uplanders, but unfortunately, things are moving my hand in a rather unforeseen fashion. So starting today, the Order of St. Rudolph will begin. And I'd like to induct you as a full knight in that order. You've served me loyally, and now, more than ever, I need people that not only can I trust, but I know that can fight and know what is coming and can help me spread that word and save these people. Cold Wendy's fry.
Kiva looks to you a bit concerned, And she says, Sir Mason, I don't mean to question your orders, but doing this may invite unwanted attention from the church. It's been done in the past, but it is not considered good practice or decorum to just instate a holy order on your own without the patriarch. Are you not afraid of his wrath?
I'm more afraid of what happens if I don't and we can't stop the elves. And there's no need for you to stand on formalities, such formalities with me when speaking. I've told you of my intent, that regardless of your choice, whether you join the order as the first knight sworn or not, I will send the letter to your people to let them know that I fully support you to become a knight.
She thinks it over. You know that this is not an easy decision for her. Mm-hmm. If the patriarchy comes down, she's technically next in line to become a duchess. If the patriarchy comes down, they can take that away from her.
Mm-hmm.
Let me roll a die of fate, because I don't know that I have enough information about her as a character just yet to be able to say, yes, she would definitely do this, or no, she would definitely do not.
What language is that, Brendan?
None. It's what you just said at the end of that speech.
Oh, cold Wendy's fry.
That's a new NPC.
No, it's a new fire of some other abbey.
It's whatever the Latin of this world is. That's
Wendy.
The phrase. It
Cold
means
Wendy.
something.
All right. So
actually, the words of my order will be
Die, rebel scum.
Victorium Vita.
Okay. So she will say, she will kind of give it some thought, and she'll finally unload the crossbow, and she draws out her sword. She kneels and hands it to you.
The character doesn't, or the player doesn't know what he's supposed to do in this situation.
Totally fine. What she's doing is she's offering you her sword, which means that she is willing to accept your offer. What you can do here is take her sword and hand it to someone else. Normally it would go to your squire, but since she's your squire, you can just bury it in the dirt or have someone hold that sword for her, which I think is a little bit more appropriate to your character because the way you feel about arms and armor.
Yep.
Then you would draw your weapon. You can knight her and tell me what knighting looks like for you in this world. And then she would be handed back her sword and receive her title.
Okay. I'll look around and I'll call over for the abbot real quick.
Yeah, just to let everybody know, you are all still here. So if anybody wants to inject on the scene, you're all available for it.
No, this seems pretty important.
I am not there. I am busy drawing plans.
I'm going to hand...
You're not there mentally.
A whole nightly order for me?
I'm going to hand the sword to the abbot, and I'm going to ask the abbot to say a prayer. To basically, like... So I know in this world, enchanting is an actual magical thing that exists.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know that in medieval times and actual history, clericus, monks and whatever, when they would receive the sword like that and asked, they could enchant it with like a religious prayers and powers to help protect.
Yeah, like a blessing of some sort.
Yeah.
So that's to find the prayer page again. I know it's like way in the back. Here's sorcery.
Midnight. Ah!
Page 524.
524. I went a little far.
What are you looking for?
For those
I-
that don't know, tonight I will not be sleeping.
Okay.
Well, you're not getting some, so
I got some yesterday, so I won't get any for another 3 months.
that was your birthday.
So
right?
blessing is an ob 3 from me, and it lasts for the duration of an intent.
Yeah, a blessing might be a good thing then. Let's see here. For you get +1 die for skill, stat, health, steal for duration of intent, which we would decide what the intent is. But the way this works is essentially that's a one-time blessing. So she'll redeem the die and then it'll go away. It's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, the bardic inspiration. Once she uses it, it goes away, kind of thing.
But you only get to use it once?
Yes. Basically, the duration of intent is you would outline what the intent is, essentially during your blessing. So when that intent comes to fruition, she gets a bonus dice for it. So, like, if you wanted something that was kind of an easy thing for her to achieve, you could say +1 die to like her steal check, so that the next time she runs into something that could shake her, it gives her a bonus. Which is kind of probably the most common prayer that would be done over one of these swords. Let me see if there's anything else that might work. You could pray for guidance, which would give her guidance in this case instead of you. The way that I'm kind of thinking is this would be like a prayer and there would be a revelation that she would see, which I kind of like that one because it gives kind of like a Joan of Arc type of feel. Of course, minor miracle could work as well.
Those are both kind of out of my
Right.
range of can I actually do it or not, though. So I'm fine with just blessing.
I was gonna say, Chris, if you want to take like a page, take like a little page from some of the enchanting stuff that's like a temporary thing.
That's kind of what blessing is. It's a temporary thing.
I was just saying if you want some more ideas.
Yeah. You could also do aid, which is an op 4.
Well, he asked for the sword to be blessed, so I'll do a blessing on it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably the most common thing that would be done over a sword, at least in this type of ceremony. Ooh, if you want, because you have a skill that's actually super important here, you have a skill called Ritual, don't you?
Yep.
That governs holy rituals. He is knighting a holy knight. So if you wanted to roll that, you could do it as a link test for your prayer. And if you were successful, you can get another bonus die to your prayer roll.
Okay.
So I am going to say, just looking at how ritual works here, it's probably an ob. Let's see here. Baptism is ob 1, coming of age is ob 2, and a wedding is ob 3. I think it's short of a wedding, so I'm going to say an ob 2. It's kind of on par with coming of age.
Okay, so you want me to do that first?
Yeah.
And I think Mason would probably participate since he's the one actually doing the knighting, right?
He could provide assistance.
Yeah.
If Mason has ritual, anyways.
Nope.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm terrible at everything.
We already knew that.
Actually,
I know.
sorry, I take that back. I forgot how assisting works. If you have a skill that could be feasible to use, I think soldier-wise could be feasible to use in this situation.
Then yes.
Ooh. Can I help out with enchanting?
Two different kinds of magic, so I'm going to say no.
Could help with singing or court gossip.
Yep. Singing would work.
The fact that you have court gossip is amazing.
Actually,
Singing would actually work because there probably is some hymns that would be appropriate, and you have the background to know those hymns. So I would say yes. You could. You in particular could use singing to help.
I would love to. Yeah.
it also occurs to me that in the future, when the patriarchy does come down on us, Nate could save our asses with court gossip as a skill.
I'm telling you, it's going to be one of those random shits. Like we all forget that he has court gossip, and then bam, motherfucker just rolls it out like, what now?
I got some pretty sweet skills. I have like courtly skills and then like basic survival skills out in the wilderness.
Like it's baller.
It's
literally weird. I have a really weird skill set.
Weird as shit, man.
Tom, you look good right now, by the way.
Thank you. Also, my character's going to be like sketching this entire scene. This will make a great painting later.
Okay. Yeah. That.
I have to stop, Chris. If he's starting to paint, I have to stop working on my thing and pay attention to his painting.
Okay.
I've been trying to understand his art because he said my art because he said I didn't understand it before.
So before we get too far into all the rolls and stuff here, it sounds like we have 2 helping dice from singing and from soldier wise. I don't think the painting is going to help, but I think it will create something that will be storyline wise an important item because this painting is basically the founding of the official holy order.
Look, man, this is literally Leonardo da Vinci, drawing the Last Supper. Okay,
if you were there,
he was there. I saw History of the World Part 1.
So, Brennan, go ahead and do your ritual with the 2 helping dice.
I already rolled it with 1 and succeeded. Is that good?
Give me 1 more roll die in there because you may have more bonuses.
Okay.
More bonuses can actually net you better things inside the link die.
What's the command? /R1d6?
/R1d6.
Boom.
Cool. Okay. So now you get to roll a prayer. And your ob for this is going to be an ob 3. You will have a bonus die from doing the link test.
And trying to remember how, if I spent fate before the roll, how does that work again?
Because this skill is already open, spending fate will not be able to open it up for you. That's what using your fate beforehand will do. It actually should tell you all that stuff on your stats page, if I remember right. Here we go. Spending Artha. If you open that up, it will show you here what you can do with it, which is with 1 persona, you can fail or you can negate a failed roll with a consequence. So that means basically once the roll has been done, with a fate, you can. Oh, it doesn't look like it's showing you everything. Oh, there it is. With 1 persona, you can get the extra die, which you do have 1 persona right now.
I'll just do this roll.
Okay.
So, boom.
All right. So there is a blessing. What kind of blessing are you bestowing?
I'll do steel.
Okay. So she'll get 1 die to her steel the next time she runs a steel test. All right. Let me just notate that on my end. All right. Cool. What does knighting someone look like in this world, Murdoch?
So before that, I actually have a question.
Sure.
There are several ways we can go about her title or female knight titles in this world, and I want to ask how you want to do this. The old English way would be dame, or dame,
right?
Like madame. There's lady, which is more modern, and then there is sir, which is the ultra modern version.
So I think all three of those titles exist inside the world, and it kind of depends on the order that you are a part of. I think for militant orders, Dame is probably more common since that's the old-fashioned one.
Okay.
However, it's really up to you as the founder what titles you're going to use. Like, I could see like Sir being used for like mercenary groups, like the Ebon Eye, those mercenary troop that you have there. They have knights that are technically part of it. I feel like their females are probably Sir.
Okay. So yeah, I feel like a militant order is a more high and holy thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna go with Dame. But so in this world, it's for me at least, it's gonna be very simple. She kneels down and we pass the sword off. I draw my sword and I place it in her hands, and I say a quick prayer of Tomoti or Tomati, however we want to pronounce it, tomato.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask her to shed her former life and give it to Tomati in all things. To which the ritual reply is, yes, whatnot, or I do. And then you arise and you return the sword of the knight as your first act, as you return an object of to someone that is important to you, i.e. the sword. You return that sword back to them, and they thank you for your first noble act, and then you would get your sword back after that.
Okay. Yeah, she affirms the oath, and then she stands, and she takes a moment holding your sword. It's a sword that she's cleaned, but never actually held by the handle, because that was something you told her when she was very, very young as a squire, that she didn't earn the right to hold the sword yet.
Mm-hmm.
And she just kind of takes in that moment of being able to hold it from the handle and being a knight. And then she rotates it over and puts it across her arm where she's holding the blade, and the handle is to you.
I bow my head and say, Dame Kiva, I graciously accept the return of this sword. May I give you this gift? And then I return her sword to her.
She will, what was your order's words?
Victoriam Vita means victory is life.
She utters the words Victoriam Vita, and she'll take the sword. I wanted them to come out naturally, so I figured having her be the one to say it would be kind of the way to do it.
I'll look at the abbot and say, Victoriam Vita, abbot.
He'll nod his head and smile.
Abbot, we need to have a discussion. The patriarchy is not going to like this. And with you blessing this knighthood and order, it may look negatively upon you. We do have the bards around, and he'll turn around to Tom, to Tom's character, who I am unfortunately forgetting the name of. Francis?
Yes.
Francis. He'll turn to Francis and say, there is a great painting being done, I'm sure.
He's in the middle of doing it right now.
Should we omit you?
You've stood by me all these years at the Abbey. I'll stand by you.
New question. Tom, are you going to omit him? Regardless of what they say.
Remember, this is history in the making.
This is.
Do you really want to admit
we are PCs, and this is history.
Do you really want to admit history? Does your artist mind really say you can do that?
Or not just that, but you've gone through great lengths, so I could see one way being the, oh my god, I don't want to do anything crazy to fuck the abbot, or you could go the complete other way, going, I will absolutely turn this to my benefit, and we will,
So here's why I think it's an important question for Francis. Francis has a belief that says, I will put the abbey on the map, including the priest. If it goes well, will help move that forward. Including the priest, and it goes bad, hurts that goal.
Yeah.
But it's a risk, and life's all about risks.
To be fair, though, you are already risking one of your other beliefs just by painting this, which is finding your place amongst the die makers again.
Yeah.
It all depends on how painting is received, which we can't talk about until it's actually received and Patriarch's aware of what's going on.
True. In truth, he hadn't thought about that until he was asked the question. He's like, ooh, this is an important moment. And now that they're asking him, like, you see him visibly freeze and just, like, blink a couple times, like,
Mason's going to turn and say, you heard him? Needs to be included.
He, like, looks at the abbot, looks at the painting, looks back. The work would be incomplete if I didn't include him. So he includes him.
Okay, cool. I was going to answer my next question is, are you lying?
In the end, artistic integrity won.
Okay. So, it's like I said, this painting becomes more important later as the story goes on, and we'll probably revisit it, and it will have cultural significance at that point. This is kind of like a long game thing. So, Kiva rises as the Dame Kiva of Lore Castle. She has the title. There is technically a trait that Murdoch got from being a knight that she will be eligible for when we do a trait vote. Usually traits like this, we all agree because she became a knight, she gets this trait, which is the logical thing. But technically there is a vote. We all have to agree that she gets the trait, which is the sworn homage.
Oh, sworn homage.
Which gets her a special belief in the end. All right. So unless there's anything else, I think that wraps up that scene, and we can talk about where we're going next since we have a couple ideas. Okay. So looking it over, we still have, as far as strings to follow, the Lord Knight Marcos de Alcedo may possibly be involved in things because there's too many scary stories about that weirdo for him not to be involved. At least that's what Farmer Dan says.
There was something specific.
He's just a peasant farmer, man. Let him. If he wants to involve himself in this, let him involve himself.
I was going to say,
whatever.
There is rumor that he was abducted by Faye as a child.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where your mind is going.
Yeah.
He may be the closest thing to an expert on elves aside from Mason up here. You also have the death site of Saint Celine, which is where the raid on the funeral happened. And then you also have the town of Lanarcost, which will be later. You don't really have to head that direction, but if you head there early, then you could arrive early. That's kind of the main thing.
And Tom was going to attempt to learn the ritual over the next 3 days.
And I was going to help.
Yep.
So I think we're sending Nate off on his own.
Wait, and when I come back with absolutely nothing,
I think the goal was to send him off was to we don't believe him, but it's going to keep him busy, and it's probably going to keep him at least somewhat safe. Let him do it. He's a peasant.
I would like to ask a couple questions about the Ritual Investigation Wonder Team here.
Yes. Insufferable miscreants.
And I do want to remind you guys, look at your instincts and beliefs. Are you both working towards the goal of solving this ritual?
I am working towards the goal of understanding the ritual.
Okay. Because if you work towards that goal, Jeremy, you will not be working on your plans to draw up a mecha suit.
Yes, I never said I'm the best. I never said I.
I'm just curious which is
This-
going to win here in this conversation. Is it
So
follow
what's
the,
gonna
follow
really
the
this
orders,
is how
or-
it's gonna be. Francis is trying to understand the ritual, and I'm trying to get it, and I'm going with him because I feel like he's going to be the least obstructive on my path.
Okay.
It's that, or I go off my own, and I know that Mason's really going to say shit if I don't try to help out with everything else.
Oh no, Mason handed you a dragon heart
No.
and said, "Do it."
That's what he believes. The way, so essentially, he volunteered to help because he had volunteered to help with that because before he was given the heart.
Okay.
But eventually, I feel like he will wander off and not be as helpful.
I'm trying to remember who those directors are, but basically, you're the other guy who sits on the couch and answers a few questions, smokes some weed, and doesn't really help.
Yeah, and then I walk off and say I'm going out to go get some pizza, and
Yeah.
He comes back with a blockbuster copy of Fight Club.
can't. There's no blockbusters around.
Yep.
The last one's in Oregon.
Okay. Cool.
I thought it was in Alaska.
Yeah, there's
No.
one in Alaska, I think.
there's
No,
like
the Alaska one closed down. The last one's in Oregon.
That's odd. I figured Alaska would be the last one.
Nope.
All right. So, cool. That lets me know how long it will actually take to translate this ritual.
I mean, I'll be helpful from the start, but I will get more engrossed. The more ideas I come with coming up with blueprints and plans and all that, the less I'm going to be helpful.
Okay. Cool.
One thing to go into before we start this whole ordeal. At some point during these 3 days, I'm going to find a moment to sneak away and take a sample of the well water.
Sure. Yeah, that'd totally be fine. I mean, you're gonna take bathroom breaks and eat food and stuff like that.
Because at some point, I want to determine if the if the thing that was in the water was the flower I found. But,
So in the couple days that we're alone and we're investigating the ritual, you want to try to get away from my notice. That's
yeah,
easy. Just walk away. I won't notice.
fair enough.
I believe I'm looking at our chat log. It looks like you may have already made the roll on translating the ritual. It was just going to take time. Was the deal?
I think it was 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why we got the 3 days thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it shows that you're successful, which is good. From Jeremy, do you have anything that could help you design this suit, like in engineering or some sort of skill like that? I mean, your character is basically a dwarven smith, so I assume you have something.
So the problem is that we never got around to discussing fully how this is done.
Mm-hmm.
So I did not, when I created the character, Chris, I did not know what skills to take.
Sounds like your master didn't get around to it before you left him.
He did not. That's
Okay.
that's
So-
the story I'm going with.
Okay, cool.
But
I
I
think
do-
you have a couple skills that could work.
Yeah, I do have a couple skills, but I don't have engineering.
Right. Which I think the book outlines engineering more as like structural engineering is kind of
Yeah.
how you put it.
Yeah.
I'll find out here because I'm about to look at the skill. Because I don't want to override one skill with another, but Mad Inventor or Mad Inventions pretty much can do anything. So that's like the easy go-to one.
If that's where we want to go with, that's cool. The reason why I had Mad Inventor was in my backstory. As I went around and learned from my master, I tried my best to recreate dwarven things, but I couldn't because he never taught me everything right away.
Right.
So they always came up as the weirdest shit.
Can you find the Mad Inventor skill? Because that will also give us some ideas about what the obstacle will be.
Oh my god!
Yeah, engineering is more about like structural and architecture and shit like that.
You have to give me a minute on that because,
I know it's inside the codex.
yeah, just the book itself. The books are really big, and there's
Yeah.
hard to find everything. But I'll find it in a second.
Okay. All right, so we'll come back to that in a little bit once you find that one, so we can figure out what a good obstacle is.
Mhm.
I have a feeling it's probably going to be around 4 if I made a guess. Just kind of depends on what the scope of Mad Inventions is.
Okay.
The next thing that I'd like to kind of shift the camera to, because I'm feeling it, is let's get some Displaced Prince time.
All right.
So I'm going to jump all the way to Hollister Fort. There's not really anything like bandits on the road to assault you or anything crazy like that. So
I wanted to fend them off with my quick wit, and then
You
die
succeed.
horribly.
So when you arrive at Hollister Fort, it's a large fort that, whereas Aldhedge is kind of like this crammed city where the streets are very built together, and it seems kind of like maybe a Germanic type village where it's like the overhanging buildings that have been built upon and built upon. Fort Hollister is a very militant camp. There are buildings that are built onto the walls. So like there are 3 wall structures where the 4th wall is the actual wall to the fort itself, but it's very utilitarian. When you get to the fort itself, there is a refugee camp outside of it with these little tent village, and there's people that are coming up to you asking for food, and they're pulling at your clothes, trying to get your attention, money, anything that you are willing to give away. Are you willing to give them anything, or are you just going to push through?
I'm just going to push through. I don't really have anything to give.
Yeah, it's not hard to push through. After a little while, they kind of see that you're a villager. You don't have much anyways. You look a little healthier than they do, but other than that, it's pretty much what it is. Grabbing a Band-Aid.
I'm still here. I got a wireless.
Okay. So you push through, and you get to the gates. After a few moments, you are received, and you're offered a bath before meeting anyone in particular. You know that when you came to the door, did you ask for the Lord Knight Marcos de Alcedo by name, or did you ask for audience with the Viscount Alessandro Arana, who's the governing ruler? Is kind of a bad term. He's like a general right now.
Marcus de Alcedo particularly.
Okay.
There's no need to beat around the bush here.
They tell you that if you'd like to meet with the Lord Knight, it would be appropriate to clean yourself from the road travel. And that's the kind of polite way of saying you smell like a filthy farmer, so go clean yourself in the bathhouse.
You damn filthy animals. Yeah, go ahead. Or I will go ahead. I will relish the opportunity, actually.
Good. So when you arrive to the bathhouse, this is a royal bathhouse, or well, a fort's bathhouse, I should say. So it's a little bit nicer than the typical one that the farmer would go to, but it's not quite as nice as like a royal bathhouse that you've been to previously.
Okay.
There's some pillars. The water in here is heated, which is fantastic. You probably haven't had a hot bath in months. And as you are cleaning yourself, the Lord Knight himself will actually come in. You'll see this man who has scars all over his body and this kind of wooden-looking mask, which I'm going to show to everybody here. And you can see these pale yellow eyes that are peeking out behind the mask. He takes his towel and he kind of like tightens the grip on it, and he will go to the other side of the bathing pool from you, inch in and say nothing to you. But you have this weird feeling that behind the mask he's staring at you. His
Notably,
dog will lazily walk in and lay at the poolside.
Okay, notably uncomfortable with the fact that I'm sharing a bath with somebody. I'm assuming nobody like offered to help me or anything.
No, you're a farmer.
Yeah,
and nobody is helping the knight either, which is kind of unusual for his station.
Okay. What's the appropriate address for someone of his station, sir?
I was going to say, because you are portraying yourself as a farmer, Lord Knight would be the appropriate.
Oh, this dude's mask is awesome.
Yeah,
I fucking love this.
that's gross.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm actually pretty intimidated by this. This was woefully unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
I figured I'd have a minute to prepare myself, and I'm kind of lost in thought.
I think he's going to take the advantage on the conversation then.
Sure, yeah.
After a few moments, he kind of speaks up, and it's muffled behind this wooden mask that he wears. I've been told that you're looking for me. That's weird. Did I not get my own reference or something?
No, it's just he's just abrupt and upfront. It was unexpected.
He's a fantastic NPC.
I love him. I love him already. Forgive me, Lord Knight. I was not expecting you to join me in here.
No, but usually no one does. It's my preference to catch a man when he's at his weakest.
I can see why.
Bow, bow, wow.
Well, straight to the point, I suppose. There are many rumors surrounding you and obviously your mask and your history, most of which I care nothing about. There is one in particular that I was hoping had an element of truth to it. I'll give him a moment to respond if he sees.
He kind of tilts his head. It's frustrating because if he didn't have the mask, you could get a little bit more emoting out of him. He's clearly curious, and he doesn't stop you.
There is one which states that you, in your younger years, were abducted by the Fae. It is about that story I wish to speak with you today.
He kind of leans back like he's relaxed by what you want to talk about, which is kind of weird because it's a really heavy topic, you would think. He says in this kind of deep, raspy voice, "Rumors, I'm afraid. Unfortunately, and I mean no offense to you, the common folk tend to see my deformities and seek to find answers that just aren't true."
Perhaps not the Fae, then. Is there...
I know a little of them. And it kind of pauses for a moment, and you can hear almost embarrassment behind him. He's very, very flat, so it's hard to get his emotions.
Mm-hmm. Trying to see if I have any way to glean anything.
I've taken a journey to the jungles, so I may have some answers about the Fae. But it was in my prime, and I had my Drakrit with me, or my Drakgom with me.
Nate has forgotten what the language is exactly.
The Drakgom is the giant mech.
That's the big boys?
Yeah, that's the mech.
Okay, cool. And the Drakrit is the design?
That's his title.
Oh, title. Okay, cool.
That's
Sorry, it's been a while for me.
He uses one. Yep.
All right. That is even better than I had hoped, in fact. Tell me, what did you experience while you were down there?
It was during the First Crusade. The prophet Leokos had plans. He never told me everything, but he sent me and my squad into the jungles to investigate things. He seemed to know more than what he let us know, of course.
As prophets often do.
Leokos was a man that probably could have been the definitive of what a prophet is. A genius, possibly a madman, right when you never wanted him to be.
Sounds like you almost respected the man.
I respect his words and I respect his prophecies, but
not the man himself.
no, it would be ill of me to speak of a prophet that way. His intentions were questionable at best. He never let anyone know why he was doing things. He just kept insisting that it was for the greater good. And I don't honestly know if my squad mates' deaths were for the greater good.
I will sort of shift in the bass and sort of straighten up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
How did your squad mates die? If you don't mind me asking. If you don't wish to answer, please don't. I'm not here to dredge up terrible memories. I'm just curious.
My squad mates died to fairy tales. We were attacked by creatures that one could only describe as dragons, ridden by elves. But not the ones that we see in art. They were dark like obsidian, their nails sharpened. They sung songs of sorrow. And when he says sorrow, the dog perks up and he pats the dog on the head. And he kind of pauses for a moment and goes back into the story. These creatures, I don't know if they were truly elves or not, but they looked similar in nature.
How did they look?
Tall, otherworldly beauty that was hard to describe, but dark, twisted souls. They enslaved people. There were men in those jungles, tribes of people, not unlike the northern barbarians, but they were enslaved and in fear of these elves. I barely made it out. My Drakrit was damaged, and I came to this fort. It's been repaired over the last few months, but as far as I'm aware, my squire and the 2 knights that I took with me did not make it home.
So this was a recent expedition?
No. Not entirely. I don't know how to describe it. Something about their songs. We left during the First Inquisition, but when I arrived here, it was 6 months ago.
What's the time frame for that again exactly?
It's
The
been
First
several
Crusade
years.
ended 10 years ago.
Yep.
Okay.
The First Crusade began 13 years ago.
Okay.
He is attempting to explain temporal variance to you, and he has no clue what he's talking about. So
Yeah.
I'm just telling you that as a GM.
Yeah, no, I figure I would know the history, but Nate doesn't.
Since he is in the bathwater, you can see that he has, because his mask doesn't cover his neck,
Mhm.
you can see that he has these furrows along his neck, like something with at least 4 fingers has clawed around his neck and down his chest. And there's no save to it. Like you stare. There's no not staring at this.
Yeah.
It's this
No,
grievous wound. And he'll kind of sink into the water for a moment, and he is quiet, and then finally he pipes up and he says, You know they only have 4 fingers.
I do, actually.
He pauses and he looks at you, and he moves a little closer. The dog
like,
gets up
Move
and
a little back.
yeah, the dog gets up and it kind of like trots along the pool next to him.
Okay.
It never seems to go more than a couple feet from him at a time.
Yeah.
Once he sees you pull back, he says to you, there's something I have to show you. And he reaches up to his mask. Are you going to do anything? Or is he just going to pull off his mask?
No, he's just going to pull off his mask. This is way better than I thought it would be. This is way more insightful than the farmer thought this was going to be.
Underneath his mask is a relatively normal humanish looking thing. And it's not until now that he takes off the mask that you can see his stature has been adjusted. Soldiers, when they go into foreign fields, they typically stand with a different stature than they do so that they can blend in with the people around them when they're on espionage missions and things like that. He stands a little taller, and the best way to describe him is he still has 5 fingers, but he has elven-like features in his face. He has almond eyes, slightly pointed ears. You know what this is because there are some of them still in the world, but most of them have been hunted down by church inquisitors. He is what is known as Fey-blooded. Someone in his family line was an elf. This would be great shame for his family line.
Sado. Okay, so I'm writing stuff down.
Mm-hmm.
Frey-blooded.
Yep, and I think you have the ability to edit him, so if you wanted to put it inside his thing, you can.
Yep, I just got a notepad. I'm going to fix it up later.
I was going to say, I'll go ahead and add it because I have it inside my GM notes. I'll just copy and paste it.
Okay, cool.
Go.
Well, I'll stand with him, actually. If he did he stand up?
Yeah, he's standing up. So like the water is cutting him off at like waist deep.
I was gonna say, so his dong is in your face. I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Yeah,
I couldn't help myself.
I know it's a weird.
I'm 5 years old.
I was gonna say it's a weird bathhouse scene, but this NPC is a weird guy. So
I mean, if we're gonna write an anime, we gotta have a hot spring scene, don't we?
Yeah.
Also a beach scene.
Might as well be between the pretty noble and the half elf. Anyway, back to the plot.
And meanwhile, back at the plot.
If he stands, I will almost instinctively stand with him. He takes off the mask. I reel back a little bit. I wish I could say I was impressed at how you'd hid from the church all these years. But given your circumstance, it seems quite obvious how you did it. A dark reputation and a face hidden away from the world will do that for you.
I was chosen by the prophet himself. He is who gave me my lordly title, my knighthood. The church was kept out of it by the prophet. That's why I said no one knows what his motives were. I can tell you that under his orders, I've eaten the hearts of infants, bathed in the virgin's blood, and dried myself on their hair. I've ridden with armies of death and slept in their beds. But none of that was here. There are elves here. Then you and everyone you love need to leave now. The Holy Land is as good as gone.
I don't believe that that's true. I don't believe that there's nothing that we can do about this.
Tell me, farmer, what happens if your fields have been salted? What goes to your crops the next year?
Farmer Dan doesn't have an answer for him.
After a few moments, he says, "Nothing. Nothing goes to it. The Holy Land is a farm that is about to be salted. If you do not leave, you will become nothing."
The Holy Land is more like a farm than I believe you think, feeding not the bodies of the people, but their spirits. And if we do not protect this place, then, well, I'm sure you've seen it in the eyes of a soldier who's already given up. There's no fight left in them. They just keel over and die. And I'm not willing to let that happen to the rest of these lands.
I'll help you in whatever way I can, but I will be leaving the Holy Land. I've not survived as long as I have, and I've not seen the things that I've seen by playing a fool's game. Sorrow, and the dog stands up, and he turns to walk out of the bath, picking up his towel and wrapping himself as he goes. If you know what is best, you will leave as well. But if you need me, I will be here in the library. There's something I must attend to before I leave.
Lord Knight, if I have one more question for you.
Very well.
What if I told you I knew somebody from down in the jungles? Would that mean anything to you? Or at least who claims to be from the jungles? Would you be willing to meet with him?
Bring him here. I don't have the time to ready what I need for travel and go visit this person. My Drakgom should be operational, but if it is not, then I will be stuck here until it is. And he settles the mask over his face again.
Get out of here.
Speak with the herald on your way out. He'll give you my seal, and that will grant you permission to the keep.
He'll nod. Fuck. Yeah, I tell this guy. Shit. How do I say it?
It. Start with the I, you end with the T.
Thank you, you're not helping.
Hey, I just answered your question, man.
He'll
Tell me T and all will come.
He'll nod, like sort of bow in thanks.
I'm sorry, I have to correct myself. He will tell you to speak with Lord Carvalho on your way out to receive the seal, not the...
Okay. Okay, yep. Thank you, Lord Knight, and
Back in a second.
know that what is it? Know that House Castrol, or was it Carstrol, holds itself in your debt.
He pauses for a moment, and you can see that he's trying to process what you've said, like trying to put the pieces together, but he kind of shakes his head like, I don't have time for this. And he pushes on.
Mm-hmm.
When you leave, you will meet Lord Carvalho, who will give you the seal, no issues. This is a picture of him. Plus, I hit edit instead of show players. That's him. He is a older gentleman with deep scars from war across his face.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that he is the advisor to the Viscount, who's in charge of this military operation. So if you have anything that you'd like to address to him. You can as well.
So, but this is a distinctly military operation.
Yes. He's the one that used to be in charge of Howester Fort. Then the Viscount came, took command, and now he's serving as an advisor.
Okay, cool. I think I must have missed something earlier. Do I know exactly what this fort is like defending or preparing for, or is it just an outpost?
It is an outpost for Ethebend, and it served as the Ford outpost for conducting war in the Holy Land.
Okay.
So this was like the main base for Ethebend in the Holy Land.
Seems it may seem use once again. I have to connive my way into that one. Yeah, that's I leave much happier than I thought I would.
From a bathhouse with a dude.
From a bathhouse with a dude. No, all things considered, I leave much happier than I thought I would.
What?
Especially considering what I had to do. That was very uncomfortable.
Phrasing?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
The problem is I don't have any like military training. I wish I did.
Well, the Lord Luca Carvalho, the one you're meeting, he's a noble. He's not actually like a military-minded person.
Yeah, no, I mean, personally, though, like, if I don't want Alcedo to fucking leave, I'm gonna have to bring Marshall back with me.
You're gonna fucking prod me from my cold dead heart.
I'm sorry, not Marshall, Mason. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's all I needed here.
Okay.
I have confirmation.
Cool. So who is going to the death site of Saint Celine?
Yo.
All right, cool. So I think we're going to do the same thing we did with Nate. We're just going to pick up at the death site. When you arrive, there is a military encampment. There's palisades circling around a what looks like a coffin that has been knocked to the ground. You can see it clearly because you're on a hill, and they're at the lower portion of the hill. You don't know enough about tactics, but you've learned a few things from working with Mason. If this camp was set up correctly, they should have been set up on the hill, not in the valley, because it makes them targets. So that's a little weird, but you can tell that they've set up around where the coffin fell to the ground. There is a throne that has been placed upon the knocked over coffin. And you can see that there is someone sitting on the throne from the hill as you approach.
Someone sitting on a throne directly above the knocked over coffin?
Yep.
Do I see any banners flying?
Yes,
in
you
the
do.
encampment?
You see banners that are flying over, and they are a black banner with a gold scroll and a gold feather as their insignia. If you know anything about heraldry or you have noble wise, you can make those sorts of checks.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, I'll continue forward.
Okay. As you approach, there are men wearing these gold uniforms that are trimmed with black trim and accents, marking their ranks inside the army that is present here. It's not a nation. It seems like it's a mercenary force as you come up, because while their colors are the same, their uniforms are a little bit different between each person. Like they've paid to have gold clothing made for themselves and things like that. The troops that are at the front of this palisade raise crossbows to you as you approach, and they when you're about 20 feet away, They're like, halt, state your business.
I am but a weary traveler, a monk here to pay respects.
They look you over, and the second one with the crossbow says some things behind the gate that they're blocking, and then a few moments later, someone finally opens up the gate. It's a boy. Really, is kind of the best way to describe him. He's about 12, and he looks you over and he says, "Come forward, father. What order of monks do you hail from?" And he's kind of looking at you for like heraldry, but monks don't work that way. So he's like looking at you for some sort of identification that doesn't exist.
Well, he might have an impression just based off of what I'm wearing, but I'll respond with the Lambertine order.
Lambertine order. And he kind of thinks for a moment. Yes, my mother visited your church once before. Forgive the formalities, father. Please come in. Soldiers, clear the way. Let the father through. Forgive me, father. What should I call you? Brother, perhaps? Monks are titled differently, are they not?
Brother is fine. You can call me by my given name, though. Ansel.
Ansel. And he kind of thinks some more about it. And an older, like grizzled veteran who's got the salt and pepper look to him kind of leans down and he says, my lord, this is the abbot of the temple, Clericus Ansel. And he snaps like he was thinking of it. And he goes, that's right. Mother did mention you. Please, abbot, come in. We have been unable to recover her body, but we have secured her grave, or her coffin, at least. You can see that a military encampment has been formed here. They have cleared away any sort of like proof of what happened here, except for the fallen coffin and a few marks in the dirt that have probably been trampled over by other people of the fight that caused the coffin to fall in the first place.
Forgive me, but I believe some introductions are in order.
Yes, I'm Anatoly Tomas. I'm Celine's only living heir. These are my men, and he kind of like waves his hand around like the arrogance of a young noble, and he turns. This is Commander Adalbert, and Adalbert will give you a salute that you know to be from your homeland. And Anatoly turns towards the coffin with the throne on top, and he climbs up and sits on the throne. From here, I will wait until my mother's corpse is retrieved, and the funeral will... And he kind of like pauses and like reaffirms to himself mentally before he says it. The funeral procession will continue. She will be buried as a saint, one way or another.
So before I left, we agreed that the body of the should have been saint from the sepulcher was going to get tracked, right, Murdoch?
Excuse me?
So we agreed that we were going to track the body of the guy from inside the sepulcher, see if we could find the remains, right?
That's what I'm doing now. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And Celine, is she? So is this noble family from?
Officially recognized as a saint. She had passed, and during the war, her funeral procession started at where she fell in the battlefield, and was going to bring her to her burial site. It was attacked at the funerary site where she actually fell.
And are these people at the bend or
on top of where her body fell to the ground, basically?
Are these people at the bend or Altedge.
So Celine Tomas and her child are of Aldhedge heraldry, like they're from that region. But the mercenaries themselves, looking around, they seem to be from the same general area that you are, which is our German analog. I'm trying to remember if we named that. I think we did.
Not Germany.
I think we changed it. Ecosia.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a dour, callous, and ruddy bunch.
Oh, I have beer for that. Don't worry. Okay.
Yeah, looking over the camp, so you know your people a little better than like a stranger would. Like what is considered normal dourness for Ecosians, they're even more dour than that. They seem to have some luxuries and things like that, but they're frustrated is kind of the feeling that you get looking over these people.
I have a pretty strong feeling why. So, and what was the son's name again?
Anatoly Tomas.
And are these people nobility, or does he have this position because his mother's a saint?
He is technically a lordling. He is not old enough to be considered a man, so he is in line and he's mark of privilege, but he doesn't have the title yet. Well, I take that back. Now that his mother's dead, he is the heir of the house, so he would be Lord Anatoly Tomas.
So how did you come by hiring a mercenary company? Was it to protect the funeral?
No, the mercenary company was chosen upon the assault on my mother's funeral. How I acquired them is the way that anyone acquires a mercenary force. And he kind of smiles and looks at Adalbert, who Adalbert's like holding a ledger as the conversation is going. But their mission is to recover the body. Since they have been unsuccessful in that, I've chosen to put my troops to good use. So, there have been soldiers that attacked this funeral services. They'll be paid in full. We'll leave it at that.
I'm sure it's bad memory, but could you run me through what happened that day?
Of course, I was part of the funeral procession, and Ethabin troops, a small collection of them, 12 or so soldiers, stormed over that hill, and he points up to the hill that you crossed getting here. They caught us inside this valley, stabbed and killed several monks. Everyone who was here was unarmed with the exception of me, and he kind of like curses himself for a moment. The sword that I was given was unfortunately poorly made and failed me. Adalbert doesn't seem to buy that story.
Mm-hmm.
The sword probably...
I was about to ask, what's the look on Adalbert's face?
Yeah, the sword probably didn't fail him.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably more his sword skills that failed him. And then Anatoly continues and he says, they left me behind. I'm not sure why. And Adalbert has this look like he's going to say something, but he decides against it. Anatoly continues and he says, when the fighting had stopped, I found myself alone on the battlefield. I returned to my home and I hired the contracted. Now they take up my mother's banner and they pay Ethabin back 12-fold for her death and funeral procession's assault. And he spits to the ground.
So do I know any reason why the saint would be disliked by Ethabend by any chance?
Absolutely none whatsoever. She is made a saint for her acts of hospitality inside the Holy Land. She has been known to take her personal guard and offer protection on the road from bandits, She has walked the pilgrim's path several times by herself. Most notably, one of the records of her stories is that when she was pregnant with her son, she walked the pilgrim's path and gave birth to him inside. What was it? Trying to remember the name of my city.
Wayhaven?
Not Wayhaven. The School of Colors, where it's located. It's the blue city name. It's the one that Tom's from, and that I cannot think of right now.
Tom, where are you from?
I don't know if I ever specified, to be honest.
Well, where your family
worst.
lives, which is where all the blue flowers and shit grow. Seswich. There we go. I was sitting here trying to pull up my Google Doc, and then it suddenly occurred to me. Seswich.
Okay. And he mentioned that she stayed at a church belonging to my order. Would I know which one that was?
Yeah, you only have one church that's belonging to your order because you have a small order. She stayed at the monastery. Now that he's kind of telling this story, you remember having an evening beer with her during one of these travels. You remember her when she was pregnant with Anatoly coming through this region, back when the church or the monastery was first being built. She was one of the first visitors. She's kind of a local folk hero for like what it means to be a good, faithful person.
Do you remember how these Ethaben soldiers were dressed?
As any Ethaben soldier, I have one of them actually. Do you wish to see him? And he kind of delights in the fact that he has a captured personnel.
I would.
Adalbert, bring forward the prisoner. A few moments later, out of one of the tents comes a starved, kind of emaciated man. He doesn't look fit enough to be a proper soldier. At least not in the way that soldiers typically are built. If you had to guess, he actually looks more like a farmer than anything. The man is pushed to the ground, and he does have the common features of someone from Ethabend. And his hair is kind of like shaved in real tight along the sides, and he's got like just a short crop on the top. It's kind of that Caesar haircut. He's clearly been beaten and starved when he's set in front of you. This is the man. I've taken to call him prisoner, but I think he had some sort of name or title before. At this point, he's all out of intelligence for me, I'm afraid. And the young lordling kind of like waves one of the soldiers over, and he pulls out the soldier's knife, and he sits on the throne and throws one leg up over the arm, and he's just kind of like playing with the knife while you begin to question this person.
And how did he come to be captured?
Adalbert sent out some soldiers, and they brought him back as a token of their journey.
I'll turn to Adalbert. And what led you to believe that he was responsible for this act?
Well, we captured him because he was an Ethaben soldier that had some intelligence that the young lord requested. Yeah, finding out that he was part of the attack he admitted to did not take long for our investigators to find the answer. Sorry, inquisitors to find the answer, because he has holy people that are doing it.
So this man was tortured while being questioned?
As is our right in war. You know it's not their right.
And by whose decree is it your right?
It is my right by contract. All responsibility bears with the person who owns my contract. And as he says that, Tomas kind of like lays out his hands like, it's me. I did it. I'm so good. And Tomas says to Adalbert, tell him what we found out. I'm sure that the clericus would be interested to hear of Ethelbin's crimes. And Adalbert opens up his ledger book and pages it a few times, and he says, I have the documented account from the inquisitors. According to the law, it is to be believed as if it was the words of a priest. I'm sure you're aware. And he like slides the book to you. You can see that apparently there has been a confession that Ethelbin is behind the deaths in Swordbreak Village. That they took an active role in poisoning the well and did not care who died whatsoever. You also learn that there is some notes about a small fishing village, which is further north. And when I say fishing, it's cliff fishing. Let me explain that real quick. Since you guys live on a mesa, what you guys can do is you have these big apparatuses that go on the side of cliffs, and you can shoot a net into the clouds, and it will capture birds, and then you drag them back.
I am kind of annoyed that I was never informed of this ahead of the time. I could have been a cliff fisher.
I thought about this later on. I was like, this is just too genius. I don't know why I have never had cliff fishing in this world.
I am slightly annoyed now. Continue.
I think we all just changed our profession to cliff fisher.
I'm just saying. I mean, we could have an entire game devoted to cliff fishing. Just saying. And then, but you know, the elves are still coming and they're dragons, and we notice it. Guess what? We're expertly
We don't
trained to
care.
capture things in the sky.
We're
Yeah.
cliff fishers.
I was gonna say, you're peasants. You don't care who's in charge so long as you don't die.
That.
There's no real like detailed notes. Like it seems like he's mentioned it a few times, but there's no real anything that goes with it. The Inquisitors seem to have drawn the conclusion that there may be soldiers hiding inside that small village, which doesn't even have a name. Or actually, it should have a name because he mentioned it. It will be called Westcliff. It's one of those villages that barely has a name. It's not even marked on maps, kind of thing.
And you've already sent men there?
Not yet. We are waiting for the last troop to return, but we will be sending a force to root out any other Ethelbin soldiers.
And when should that occur?
And Lord Anatoly Tomas takes the knife and he throws it, and it buries it into the man that is the prisoner in his shoulder, kind of like right here underneath the clavicle. The man screams out in pain and he says, "Tomorrow, we strike tomorrow, and then we will put them all down like dogs." He climbs down off of the coffin. You can stop me at any point if you want. I'm just going to keep talking.
Yeah, I'm considering doing a faith thing.
Okay. He steps on the prisoner's chest to remove said knife, draws it back, turns it around. If you want to stop me, you have to tell me to stop.
Yeah, it's okay. So I was thinking of doing some sort of faith thing to stop him in the first place. Trying to figure out what I would use.
Because he is clearly about to murder a fool.
Everything is really high obstacle.
I mean, you could try like talking to him instead.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, unless you want to put a blessing on the prisoner and make
No.
his knife like bend as he tries to kill the prisoner.
I
Okay.
think you should do that because that sounds
I think
hilarious.
he'll just try again. This usually
Yeah,
works.
I was going to say if you give the prisoner bonuses to his health check and he survives the first attack, that doesn't necessarily mean that he won't.
You're just helping him torture the guy now.
So yeah. So I'll use suasion.
Okay.
Your mother, a saint, died here. This is consecrated ground, and not only do you defile it with torture, you mean to murder this man here as well. And this is stepping in between him and the prisoner, just going full.
Okay.
Full religious on him.
I don't think you can quite wedge yourself between him and the prisoner because he's in like brawling range with this person.
Okay.
Like you can get real close to him, so it's like the three of you are all on top of each other, but you won't be able to like directly interpose yourself.
And I'd like to fork in, let's see, ugly truth and oratory.
Yeah. No, not oratory, because you're talking to one person, not a group.
Okay.
And frankly, the contracted are mercenaries that don't care so long as they're getting paid because the law protects them.
Okay. What's my obstacle?
It's against his will, so 4 because of how I portrayed him. I think a 4 is probably appropriate for him.
Okay, and if I use a fate point, it's open-ended?
Yes, you can open-end it with a fate. Which means any 6s, you re-roll those.
Okay.
You got a bunch of them points. So if you want to save this guy, you might as well spend it.
And I just put in 1 in the Arthur field?
No, don't put anything inside the Arthur field. Just roll it, and then we'll see if you need to re-roll.
Okay.
There is a way that we can turn on the open-ended before you roll, but I forgot to walk you through how to do that. Let's see if you got any 6s. You do have a 6, so just do roll 1d6 again. Okay. So that turns into 3 successes against the 4, so it is a failure. Your intent here was to stop the murder of said person. Because you failed, he will continue said murder. He drew back the knife. You imposed yourself, and your words wash over him like a wave breaking against like a sandbar. It does nothing to stop his movements. The knife goes down, and he cuts at the man like around his jaw. It's enough to nick the jugular, and this man will die. But the intent was to cut up his face, attempting to flay off some of the skin on his face. The only reason the man's dying is really because it was a sloppy cut, not necessarily because he meant to. And then he kind of kicks the man down, frustrated at what you've said, now that he's kind of processed it. And the man's on the ground, gasping and slowly dying out. At this point, he will take several rounds to die unless somebody mercy kills him.
Or tries to heal him.
Or tries to heal him. That is an option.
Mercy kill is totally the way to go.
The Lord Anatoly turns back, and he takes the knife and he hands it back to the soldier that he pulled it from. And he says, "You know what? The abbot has got me thinking. Let's not wait for the final squad. We'll take Westcliff today. Ready the men. You no longer need to keep camp over a funeral site. Mother is gone, and all that's left is vengeance.
I take it they're going to start gathering things up. I'm going to go to kneel down beside the murdered man.
Mm-hmm. You can hear him kind of gasping as he's like gurgling, and he's saying a name and he's kind of muttering it. After a few moments, as you're trying to apply the healing, you are able to string together that he is trying to say, "Forgive me, Bastille."
Bastille.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to, might as well, I'm going to attempt a minor miracle.
Okay.
So this isn't going to be like intentional, but more of like sort of doing the last rites sort of things, trying to care for the guy.
Okay.
He's surrounded by reminders of his past life with this mercenary company here and people of his own background and the warlike culture he's come from. And he's feeling he needs to fight against that while he's praying for this man. He doesn't know if he's guilty or not. Just the fact that the violence on him has been a profanity.
Okay.
So let's see. That's an ob 5.
Okay. So yeah, give me an ob 5 prayer.
So should we do? Can I do this the way we did before with like a last rites ritual to go along with sort of like how we did the
If you want to save him with prayer, you can't give him last rites.
Okay. So let's see.
Basically, you don't have enough time for any sort of link test anyways on this one.
Okay. So faith. And persona gives me an extra die.
Persona will give you an extra die, yes. Actually, hold on a second. Let me look at Persona real quick, because you might have a cheaty way to do this without having to roll anything. Let's see. Okay. So there is a way for you to negate the consequence of this man dying. He's still going to be pretty messed up. If you just spend a persona, you can negate the consequence from the failed roll of you not persuading Anatoly to kill him. Or when you attempted to persuade Anatoly and you failed.
So I can either do that or attempt a miracle. I can't.
Or attempt a miracle. Since we hadn't talked about that before, normally I would not allow a retcon like this, but we can discuss it if you want to do that, or if you want to do it through miracle. I kind of like the way going down the miracle path that we're doing right now.
I do. I'm much more likely to not succeed. Yeah, but
I think this should be the first start on your path to sainthood. Bring a man back. Out of it. Yes. It's been a good couple of days for the Saint Ansel here.
Okay, so yeah, it makes more sense story-wise for me.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so no modifiers. I don't have Artha to spend, right?
No, you do not.
Base obstacle 5.
You got this.
And I'll spend a fate on it, I guess, to make it open-ended.
Okay.
And actually, I didn't roll it yet. I forgot to add one for the persona. So let's do that again. Modifiers 1.
Boom shakalaka!
What is your faith actual
6.
score. You have a 6? Cool. Since you have a 6, you have what's called a stigmata. Stigmatas typically are things like speaking in tongues, weeping uncontrollably, or other aspects of God or religion. We haven't really defined tomati yet as far as like what stigmata his priests show. What
They
is the
have-
stigmata that you would show?
Ooh,
Astigmatism.
Astigmatism. Fuck you, Jeremy. Piece of garbage.
I haven't really given this any
I was gonna say,
thought.
in that case, I have that stigmata.
I think ethereal chains, or
Mm.
your wrists getting very heavy, and then like the chafe marks and burns of chains rubbing on your wrists, because he was a slave.
That's true. That's a good one.
Well, I'm trying to think of something specifically for
Like a
the-
crown of fire or light or something like that could also work, since Tomati rose to become a god king, essentially. Tomati had a dragon companion. Some sort of like dragon-like aspects could be something as well.
You could develop dragon eyes.
And your stigmata may not be the same as every other priest either, too. So we can modify that. Like another priest stigmata might be he has scaly skin.
I mean, that's
You grow a cloaca.
You develop the heart of a dragon.
Don't do that. People will want to kill you.
I mean, think about the dragon that would be powered by the heart of a dragon and a saint. Just saying.
And it's the wake of a dragon.
I haven't given this any thought, so I wanted to come up with something cool, but I was trying to think of something that fits more with the theme of the character.
To fit to the theme, I like the idea of the shackles, but I would do them on wrist and legs since your character is a barefoot monk. That means we would see all of those like shackle burn marks on your skin when they form.
Okay. I'll say the shackles, and also okay, so that's just something I'm going to always carry with me, or is this something that happens when I perform miracles? How does it work?
So the way it works is basically when you hit exponent 6 or lower, you will have some bizarre, miraculous telltale so that people, when they see you, they can see that you're full of faith. So it's always going to look like you have some sort of burn marks, like healed over burn scars.
Okay, yeah, that works for me.
Like where shackles would have been attached to you at one point.
Okay. And they're usually not visible because of just how my robes are. But,
Yeah, but I think during prayer, it's like the skin kind of peels back as if it's being burned again during this process. Like it's not painful. It's just it's the visual effect of the burns being fresh.
okay, so
Towards the end of
we'll
the
say that this
prayer,
is, even though I already had a 6, so it's just, but it's developing now. That
Yeah.
sounds cool. Okay.
I think whenever you do like big prayer magic-y stuff is when it kind of presents itself. Other than that, it kind of looks healed almost.
Make sure you put your
So-
point in faith.
It doesn't matter if, since I was open-ended, if the result's any higher, or it's
Nope.
pretty much just yes or no, right?
It's yes or no in this case. So yes, Murdoch does bring up a point. Make sure you put a difficult test under faith,
I did.
because those are hard to come by, especially passing them. So good news here is your prayer is successful. You can smell the distinct smell of your skin burning back. Your wrists and ankles develop visually what looks like third-degree burns, but there's no actual damage done. You've grown accustomed to this. When larger miracles are performed, if you are part of them, your stigmata presents itself. By the time the prayer is over, it is healed back and looks like burn scars, essentially. But unfortunately, the man is still dead. Prayers only work on the faithful. There was no way for you to know whether he was or was not before the roll. but this is a real life thing that your character may have had limited interaction with. Tomati is a large religion. This is like Holy Roman Empire, essentially. And this is a man that was unfaithful.
All right. I don't know if anyone takes a notice, but he's just going to continue sitting there as they continue to file out.
Unless you have something that is going to cause your character to break from the world crashing around him, basically, I think that's going to be the end of this scene. All right, cool. I will remind you guys, I'm not being a dick. My job as the GM in this game is to put your characters in bad situations and to test your faith and beliefs.
So, a dick.
So I'm being kind of a dick. All right, cool. So the next bit is what happens with
Tom.
Yeah, let's go back to Tom first.
All right.
Lady Kiva is going to go off to secure all the people that were pushed back into kind of the encampment that got formed outside of Swordbreak. She's going to send them back to their homes and things like that. So for Tom, your days pass and you are able to figure out what this ritual is roughly about. Like, you don't know how to cast the ritual yourself, but you've learned a good deal about the process, and you think you understand what the intent is. So as far as the process, it requires the body of a saint, which you've already figured out. And it seems like they may have been practicing, if you venture to guess, on the person who was supposed to be a saint but was never recognized. And you come to the deduction, without getting any word back from Brendan's character, that Saint Celine's corpse was probably stolen because it would be needed. The long acupuncture, or I shouldn't say acupuncture, they're like railroad spike nails, basically. They're big honking nails with the engravings on them. You look to them and it occurred to you right at the beginning, their colors are associated with the 5 holy colors. There's one that is yellow, which would identify with saffron. You've identified that this would go into the saint's navel. There's one that would be purple, which identifies with the color Tyrian, which would go in the heart. There's another one that is black, which would be identified as logwood, where that dye comes from, and that would go into the eye. The blue one, or indigo, would go into the lips, and the chemies, or crimson, would go into the hand. The blood is basically drained out of the victim and set to the side as part of the ritual. The characters that you saw inside Elven script, they represent Clericus, blood, appeases, and this is how you've kind of rearranged them. Since you're successful, you get them in order. Clericus, blood, appeases saints, and the last one is the character for the evil one, which is basically Satan in this setting. You've also deduced that saints needs to be inserted upside down.
I don't like this application of color theory.
Yep. You see that the intent is to summon some sort of demon.
Summon the Rancor!
From experience, it seems like it summons quite possibly some sort of like elf demon combo thing. Because that's what the hand that came out. But you've learned enough to know that you guys screwed up the ritual last time. So maybe that was an accident, and the real intent is to summon a demon.
Great. So we might summon something worse.
Entirely possible from what you've gathered. You
sure.
were not able to find anything that correlates this with anyone in particular, by the way. Because I know
Right.
you guys were looking for something like that, some sort of connection.
I can't remember if we established this during world building, but what is the general idea of what's considered dark magic in this world?
So the idea of blood magic exists in the jungles. If Mason has talked about it, you know about it as a thing. As far as what the people on the Mesa believe, blood magic is an ancient myth. Like, you don't believe people actually used blood magic. That's kind of crazy talk. Blood doesn't have the power to control magic, as far as you're concerned.
So, as a superstitious people, I want to say that as people from the jungle, being superstitious, we believe that that saying a thing invokes a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, talking about blood magic would bring blood magic up. So I've never talked about it.
Okay. But you do know that necromancy is a thing, like the dark arts of summoning dead bodies. That's a real thing that's in the world. It's frowned upon, but that's basically what most people would consider dark magic, is necromancy.
Okay. And have I ever heard anything about summoning demons?
Summoning is one of those neutral schools of magic, essentially. It could be used for good and it could be used for evil. It is said that if a summoner is good enough, he could summon God or the devil himself.
Fair enough. So, yeah, first inclination would be, well, this is just a version of summoning, but, like, the fact that it's in this weird script, and apparently the body of a saint is involved. This is definitely representative of a form of magic, which up to this point I thought was mere legend.
Yeah, this is some hardcore summoning right here.
Yeah.
They're getting some bonus dice from using the body of a saint.
Is the body of a saint truly necessary?
Once I figure that out, that they're using the body of a saint, Mason's gonna be flip his mind. He's mind blown. They're fucking with souls now.
No, a saint's body is not necessary, but is preferred, is what you've kind of learned.
Look, just because you can roll for the without the saint's body, doesn't mean the saint's body doesn't help with it.
Yeah.
Well,
you understand the idea of flawed or imperfect summoning because you've learned kind of the basics of this throughout your schooling. Essentially, you can summon anything with just a summoning circle and the right words. But if you have certain ingredients and certain things in place, it can actually increase your odds of successfully summoning that thing that you're looking for. Trying to summon something that is more powerful than what you can do and failing can sometimes result in summoning other things by accident, which you guys saw in action.
Well, I don't want to summon anything, so yeah. That said, though, did I get points to learning the summoning skill?
You got a check towards learning it, yeah.
Okay, cool. Interesting. I look around. Is Marshall around me?
If you discover this pretty soon, yes. If it's been at least more than a day, probably not.
Sorry, I should correct myself. I told you that there was nothing to correlate it to any person in particular. The writing is the same as the person who's been practicing in the book, but you're not really sure whose writing that is. That's really what you're getting at.
Fair enough. All right. So, depending on when this is, I will go find Marshall to just tell him about this stuff. It's like, so they were using the corpse of a saint to summon a demon.
I like the worse the situation gets, the more blunt everybody becomes.
So this is how it's going to be. Since I've my only real learning about summoning was trying to figure out the summoning circle before. I'm going to go about my knowledge based upon what I knew about summoning before. And that is, well, wouldn't you need something strong to summon something stronger?
Well, if we're talking metaphysically speaking, a saint is quite powerful.
Yes, and wouldn't you expect a demon to be pretty powerful?
Yes.
So I'm not confused. I'm confused about why you're confused.
Oh, I'm not confused. I'm just stating facts. Worrisome facts.
So now I need to add a list. Now I need to add demons onto my list of fighting things. Jeez, now I go back to work on. Now I have to start scrapping plans because I have to now try to adjust this. My plans for fighting demons as well as dark elves.
It's worth noting, though, that considering that, well, the summoning was a little, let's say, imperfect the last time it activated, I'm not entirely sure that, and I point to the jar on your desk, because I'm sure it's on your desk, was a demon at all.
Yes, it was. It at this point in time, I'm starting to investigate, trying to explore it.
Technically, if you know the true name of something, you can summon anything, which could be like another player at the table. But you have to know their true name.
Yeah.
So is my true name really Marshall Steelheart? Exactly.
Francis sort of leans on the table, and he's like half musing to himself. So, I honestly don't know what's worse. Like, the fact that this may be an elf hand, or the fact that there's someone out there trying to summon demons using the bodies of saints. Either way, I highly advise we don't try again. Because I can't guarantee I'll replicate that particular success, if you could call it that.
Success.
Yes.
It wasn't a success. It's not all here. Could have learned way more about it if it was all here. But I understand. Next time we'll be way more careful.
Oh, yes, by not doing it at all.
Why not?
Because I might summon a demon.
And I'm making sure that we can fight the demon.
Do you know anything about demons?
No, which is why I need to summon them so I can learn about them.
How can you fight with logic that sound?
Yeah.
How are you going to fight the first demon?
That's really Mason's problem. I'm here to investigate the problem, this stuff afterwards.
Tamale save us all. He just turns and walks away.
Good. Finally, he's left. And I go back to
drawing.
Time to summon the demon.
No, he knows more about their shit. I can maybe recreate what I did, but that's not my goal right now.
Okay. I think that's all of your little side stuff. The next part is to meet up at the town of Landercross.
I haven't tracked down the
oh, that's right,
the saint body.
Yeah. So what do you want to do to track down the saint's body?
Gonna bring my dog. Kiva is supposed to be staking out the holes. The caves, little caves.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bring me and my dog. And did I name my dog? I don't know if I named him.
As far as I know, the only one that I can say definitely has a name is Alcedo's dog named Sorrow.
Okay, I like it. So I'm
Sorrow
gonna
the poodle.
Yes, Sorrow the poodle. I'm gonna tell my dog to, let's go. And we're gonna go towards the burial site where I'm trying to track down the saint that was in the sarcophagus. This body. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have him sniff that area and see if he can't find, a scent to pick up.
Okay, perfect. That makes my life easy.
Because he can't?
No, because he can. It's pretty easy to pick up a scent for that particular scent because that body was treated with formaldehyde and stuff like that to preserve the body. So that's pretty easy. I do need a tracking check from your animal, which I think your animal gets like 2 die, if I remember right, for animal companions. We'll just go with 2 die for now, and then we'll figure it out later.
Why did it give me? Oh, it exploded the 6 to another 4, so I got a 4 and a 6.
Okay. So with that, that is going to be enough. I'm sorry, I was reading something else. You only needed like a two successes anyway, so you got 3 successes. Yeah, the dog catches scent and begins tracking it down. Actually, you would have had 2 successes because you shouldn't have done explosion. Yeah. Jeremy, you can use Mad Inventor Wise. That's fine. Because it's pretty much the closest skill that we've got right now.
Actually, I was going to say, I did find another skill I think is would to actually making.
Okay.
Drawing of plans, maybe something else, but making, definitely this would work better. War engineer.
Yeah, probably.
It's literally the dwarven only skill made for siegecraft
and stuff. Yeah, that one.
But I don't.
Which you'll have to learn from your master.
Yeah, that's gonna.
Okay, cool. So the dog begins tracking it, and I think the scene's going to open up with you arriving at Westcliff, a small fishing village along the cliff.
Cliffing village, got it.
Fishing village along the cliff. As you arrive, you can smell like fresh bread. There's an inn, a few fishing houses, and these big. They're kind of like a 4-point cannon thing. Like there's 4 barrels to it, and these big like reusable rounds go inside there, and then there's a net that's attached to each one of these rounds. They get shot into the clouds, and then once it hits a certain range, the net closes and pulls back. Okay. It's designed to capture these very like slow flying, fat, dumb birds that are like extra fatty and they're delicious.
Oh god, they're actually flying.
They're like flying turkeys, basically, but they move slower.
They're
Is there
flying
any chance
dodos.
you would have come across me on the way there?
Yeah, they're like dodos. They get hunted because they're stupid and they don't know any better. Like you could literally walk up to one of these things and break its neck, and the one next to it will be like, "What you doing, buddy?"
Did you hear, Brendan?
Is there any chance he would have come across me on the way?
Not yet, but you guys will find each other because you're headed in that direction. Actually, you're bringing a lot of problems with you, Brendan, so that'll be exciting.
Yay, problems.
Okay. I continue to follow the dog for the scent.
Okay. The dog is rooting around the houses trying to follow this scent, and there's a few villagers that are kind of like watching what you're doing, kind of curious why a dog who's actively hunting is like rooting around in their village, but nobody really says anything to you.
If I notice their eyes, I just say, go back to your business. Like harsh, not even like not harsh but fair or firm and harsh, just harshly go back to your business.
Okay. Do you have anything like observation?
Do I now? By the way, I posted a picture of my character.
I did. I saw that.
Observation. I've got soldiering, sword, bows, command, intimidation, brawling, field dress, lance, etiquette, armor taining, shield taining, hunting, and mounted combatant.
Okay. So you do not have observation, which keys off of perception. If you'd like to make a perception roll to work towards observation, there is an opportunity for it right now.
Sure.
So unlike D&D and other things, it's actually hard to get the perception skill in this game, which is observation.
So modifiers.
It's just your perception.
Base obstacle.
Your base obstacle is going to be a 1.
Which is going to double itself. Yep. And I will succeed like a boss.
Cool. You notice there's a young man who runs off towards the cliffside when you tell everybody to go back to their business. For the most part, most people do go back to their business, but this guy stands out. Your dog is slowly going that direction.
Yeah, I'll head that direction after him.
Okay. You gonna bring the dog along with, or you gonna let the dog just kind of follow its own path?
How smart is the dog in this world? That like, is he smart enough to be able to like pick back up the scent if I were to take him off of it now?
So, what kind of dog do you have?
A bloodhound.
Bloodhound. Yeah, probably. Basically, if you take him off the scent, he could probably pick it up just because he's a bloodhound. He could also follow the scent, and then when he finds it, come find you and take you back to the source.
Yeah, I will have him do that.
Okay. You see the dog following behind you. It gets excited because you're going the same direction that it's trying to sniff out, and it kind of trots along behind you, but is like definitely following something.
Okay.
You see the young man get to a ladder that's built on the side of the cliff, and he climbs down. As you get to the edge and you kind of creep over, you can see that there's a cave network just below the city of Westcliff.
Okay.
And that's where that ladder leads.
I'll go down the ladder.
Awesome. You have found a smuggler's den is kind of the best way to describe this. It's a network of caves. There are crates inside here. You can hear people working, and further up in the tunnel, you hear this young man. And he goes, "Hey, there's somebody here. Bastille. There's someone here. I don't know what he's doing. He's got a hunting dog. It's going through the village. I think they know what happened." And you hear...
I hear that?
Yeah, you hear that very clearly.
I announced myself. I said, "Yes, Bastille. What happened?" Shing!
Okay. As you walk in, and keep in mind, this is a deadly game, just like in L5R. When I say this, there's about 20 dudes in here packing crates with stuff that are armed. They seem to be mostly peasants, but they're definitely like a revolutionary force. There's like propaganda that's been painted inside these caves. And you can see that the young man is speaking with Bastille, who I will show his picture next. Let me make sure you guys can edit him. And that is Bastille. You see him.
Oh, cool.
He is wearing armor as if he was a knight. Way more expensive than what you would have expected out of him.
Okay.
The rest of the people here are wearing like heavy padded clothing and stuff like that. Like it's commoners that have scrounged together armor. You also see bits of Ethabend armor that's like over in the corner and stacked up. There's swords that clearly have been stolen from the Ethabend forces. Most of these guys are wearing padded armor around, so it's like their chafe gear. You've caught them a little unawares, but there is one of them that's trying to get armor on as well as you enter.
So, tell me, did you steal the body of a saint?
Bastille has drawn his own sword. And he says, I see that Outhedge has sent their dogs, literally, because of what was spoken earlier.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not from Elthedge. In fact, hold on. If I believe that I hate the dude from Elthedge, I'm just going to make sure.
Yeah. You hate the Lord Justicar, Christian Jacquemin.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, the Lord Justicar is probably the second worst person I've ever met in my life.
And whatever your alliances with Ethabend?
I hold no love for them either. I'm simply here on behalf of the church to solve a problem that has developed into a new problem. But still, is it?
It is.
I'm not asking you to surrender because I don't care what you're doing here, unless it involves the body of a saint.
He kind of like hesitates for a moment, and he decides it does.
So you're summoning elves?
No. At least I don't know that that's what it's for, but I was told to bring it here.
It summoned an elf. Specifically, a particularly nasty variety from my homeland, called a dark elf. They're like demons that crawl through the night with all the grace and hatred of an elf.
Lord Carvalho would do no such thing.
Do you believe that I would still stand here, my sword drawn, my shield ready?
He's raised up his hand, by the way, to kind of like steady his men, because he's interested where this conversation is going to
go. My faith protecting me against 20 or so armed men. And whatever that guy. Are you playing Gallica? Never mind that guy. He's playing Gallica in the corner. You might want to fire him. Gallica's a little paper game that you play. If I wasn't compelled by something that would terrify me to my very being to be here and to stop.
Well, if you're looking to stop it, you've come too late. The body's been delivered, but I don't know what Lord Carvalho's next step is. According to our agreement, he was to recognize me.
Lord,
as long as that happens, I don't care.
Lord Carvalho, where is he from?
You recognize the way that name is built as being from Ethabend. You're not familiar
Carvalho?
with him in particular.
Lord Luca Carvalho?
Mm-hmm.
The same guy that was with the Lord Knight, Marcos?
Yep.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for leaving, Nate. I'll say, I recognize you as what?
His son. And like all of the men in the room stop what they're doing. They have no fucking clue what Bastille is talking about at this moment. My name is Diego Carvalho. I am his bastard son, and he refuses to recognize me. If I did this task, he would recognize me and my men and give us all knighthood. We would join Ethabend, and we would drive off the Aldhedge from our lands, reclaiming the castle and my rightful place as his heir. Sorry, reclaiming Wayhaven and my rightful place as his heir.
You really think that knights would steal the body of a saint?
Knights do as they're commanded.
No. True knights don't. And maybe I'm guilty of passing that on to my squire. I don't know. But I will tell you this, and I'll sheath my sword, and I'll stow my shield on my back. Like I'll walk forward with my arms. I will tell you this, that you need no recognition from this Lord Carvalho. You've proven yourself Bastille? This is Mason, like, is that what you want? Giving him is that what you would prefer to be called? Like, that look?
Until I am recognized, that is fine.
Good. You've proven yourself a capable leader, worthy of these men to follow you.
Yeah, looking over the men now that you've seen them, these are fishermen that have been turned into soldiers.
Yeah. They're obviously not perfectly trained, but they are trained. I'll make you an offer. Help me right the wrongs that you and these men have committed. You've stolen a saint body from the church. If you want to be knighted, and I'll to everybody, if any of you wishes to be truly knighted, you can join me. We can stop this. We can protect this world from the elves like Tomati before us. It is not too late. They may have the body, but we have something more. Faith in ourselves and faith in Tomati.
You have oratory.
I do not.
Okay, you can open oratory because this is what you're doing. Attempting to sway them. A good roll will mean that you have swayed them to your purpose, which is to lay down their weapons. Bad roll will, of course, mean bad things.
What's the skill?
Let's see, oratory.
Is it suasion? Is
Will?
that what I'm unlocking? Or oratory?
It's your choice. Both would be okay. Oratory is more about talking to a crowd. Suasion's more about talking to an individual.
I think oratory.
I was going to say, if you want to suasion him and just have faith that he's going to command his men and they're going to listen, you could do that.
I think oratory is better in this situation because I'm not trying to persuade him. I'm actually talking to everybody here, but I also am trying to stroke his ego. So,
okay. So that was a good call on your part because that's actually an easier roll because it's the most common will exponent of the crowd, which is going to be a 1.
So what's the skill though?
It's going to be will.
No, how do I spell oratory?
Oratory.
Oratory. Tory. And it's will, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Can I fork in command?
You can't fork because you're learning.
Okay.
Normally,
can I use
actually works
Artha or Fate or any of
that? Yes, you can.
So +1 on the Artha, and I will remove a Fate.
That's your persona, actually, not your Fate. I'll put your Fate back, and then I'll take out your persona.
So how do I add my Fate? Because that's what I wanted to add.
If you do Fate, that's re-rolling a failure after you've rolled. Ending the roll.
All right. So yeah, I'll roll my persona.
Okay. Cool.
Base obstacles 1.
Yep.
Additional complications are 0.
Mm-hmm.
3 to 2.
Excellent. He considers it a moment, and he takes the great sword that he's holding, and he sheaths it back into the sheath that's on top of the crate next to him. He looks over to his men and he says, "You were all gathered because you wished for a different life. Fishing these," he kind of waves his hands like it's beneath him, "birds was not worthy of your time. I've given you time and time again to prove yourself as men. You will all make your own choices, but I have decided that Carvalho will never recognize me. This may be my best way." And he'll step forward. A few moments later, it's like 1, 2, and then all of these fishermen step forward to show unification with you.
Okay. I'll greet them in earnest, and I will look at Bastille, and I will say, "I am in need of a new squire. I know that may be beneath you for the moment, but I feel, given your talents and your ability, that you don't have much to learn, but yet have much to study."
I have studied under and squired under Sir Iker Moruga, which you recognize that name. He's an old salt kind of soldier. He's been around forever. He is a retired knight that stopped taking on students.
I'm going to look at him and say, yes, and he did a fantastic job teaching you how to follow the orders of your superiors and lead men into battle, even when battle isn't in their best interests. But what I'm going to teach you is faith and knowing when to do the right thing. There is an abbey not far from here. That is where we will head. We will get you and your men fed and ready, and we will see where this body is.
Okay. The men begin packing things up, and I think now that you have free access to kind of walk through the cave, you're going to start making some discoveries along the way.
Okay.
you're going to find that their arrows match up with some of the arrows you found in the cave. And that's kind of the first clue as to who these people are. You find torture tools, which are basically farm tools that have been modified, that they're packing into boxes to take to the Abbey. And ultimately, you find letters that Bastille has been writing, and you find that he is the one who's been practicing Elven script.
Okay. As they're packing, I'm going to ask Bastille, why are you learning Elven?
He kind of thinks for a moment, and he says, I learned the script from a book. It's old, but I'm using it to scare off those usurpers of Aldhedge. I thought that using Elven script, they would fear the tales. He doesn't really believe you that their elves are coming. That's not a huge surprise.
Yeah.
He's looking at you as another opportunity to become recognized and be a knight.
Yeah. What about the summoning that you performed?
He what's your will? Because he's gonna have to lie.
5.
5. Jesus. Okay.
What Jesus?
He is slightly skilled at summoning, but I don't think he's gonna make that. He is a person of note important to the story, so I'm going to say that he's going to use a persona. And I'm going to... No, he's not going to use a persona because you might try and kill him and he wants to try and survive. I might use a fate if I'm close. Oh my god. He might have been okay. He says, I don't know what you're talking about. It's a lie.
We summoned it behind you in one of your caves. We have its hand. I found the book. Both of them. Your journal, where you were learning to write. The sepulcher. The other cave where you were teaching these men to shoot and to torture. The Elvish script that floated along, that was a message. Oh, what was that message? I don't know if you know this, but while I can't read Elvish, I do have people amongst me that can. Ethabend peasants serve no LaCroix, and LaCroix will leave Ethabend land, or there will be no safety.
He kind of grits his teeth as you say all of these truths to him.
I truthfully and honestly, Bastille, wish to train you. Your talent is there. But I can tell you that you need time to study, to learn about yourself, to accept who you are, to not seek anybody else's way that you should be. You need time to learn these things about yourself. I can think of nobody else better to counsel you than the man who counseled me, Abbot Ansel. Please, give yourself to these truths, and we can speak with this man, and he will help you. He has never turned away anyone.
Okay.
He's putting you on the spot, Brendan.
Yeah, this one's either going to be assuasion or persuasion because you are talking religious stuff, so assuasion could be opened up or persuasion could be opened up.
I don't feel like I'm trying to religiously persuade him. More along the lines of this is just naturally how things are done in the world.
Yeah.
And that he needs to take the time and actually, stop being a gopher and be himself.
Mm-hmm. So it uses will if you don't already have persuasion.
Yeah. Base ob.
Oh, he's done a lot of bad things. His ob. Let me just look here.
If it's more than one, I can't do.
Yeah, it's going to be 3. Which is, I mean, now that I've told you it, we have to roll, and I know that you're going to fail, but it gets you towards opening it.
Can I use fate?
Fate will allow you to re-roll failures, and will also allow you to open end that skill if you want.
What does that mean, open end?
It means when you roll 6s, they explode.
Yes, because that's the only way I can do this.
Okay. I took out your fate.
Doesn't mean you're going to do it.
Let's see if you got any 6s. You got one, so go ahead and roll another one. You can just add the exclamation point in case it does explode.
Nope.
Okay. He looks at you and he says, I cannot walk this road with you. I have done too much, and this is my path. I've learned magics and performed heinous acts. These men have done nothing but follow my orders. I committed the ritual once. What came out killed the first group of men that were under my command. But it was no elf. I wanted to see what my father was trying to do with the body of a saint. I thought I could use an Aldhedge citizen, a soldier, as a replacement for the saint, but that didn't work at all. And then I used the corpse of the priest, the sepulcher you found. Brendan, you arrive in Westcliff.
Oh, okay. I'm just there.
It's quiet.
So I get there ahead of the mercenary group?
Barely, because I imagine that you're probably trying to hurry.
Mm-hmm.
The mercenaries are going to burn this place down if you get there before, or if they get there before you do.
Okay, so as far as I know, I'm the only one here. What time of day is it? How
Afternoon.
people are about? Okay.
They're pulling in the nets for the day,
Who would I expect to be in charge in a place like this?
like a mayor.
Like a about to be dead bag?
And is there a church?
No, there is services held in town square once a week, but it's a small village. It's not anything important.
Okay. So I'm going to go to the town square where I imagine people are going to actually be, right? Going about their business.
People are walking back from their homes. There seems to be a lot of chatter on the streets. If you stop and listen, you hear about a man and his dog that seem to have been hunting something in the village. And it's like the most exciting thing that's happened in weeks. So everybody's talking about it, even though nobody knows anything. And they say that he headed towards the cliffs.
Okay, okay, I'm going to. Is there any place where I can climb up so people can see me?
Like a soapbox? No, there's not.
There's no way from your soapbox. Okay.
There's not like a really oddly.
No, when the preacher comes out on
placed
Sunday to preach to the people in the town square, he brings his own soapbox.
What about the deaf as nigh people? What are they standing on?
It's too small. They don't even have one of those guys.
Oh man, what does the town drunk say? The town crier. Terrible, terrible towning people.
Find a town drunk, stand on top of him.
There is a town drunk who's drunk and passed out in an alley.
Pull him out to the alley and stand on top of him. That's what.
And there are guards as well, or anywhere, or
There is
it
a
too
well
small a
that you
village
could
for that?
stand on, actually, because it is the town center of a very small village.
A what?
A well. You could stand on the side of a well.
That works.
Okay.
That makes me better than everybody else. I'm above them.
Okay, it's time for some oratory magic.
Okay.
People, lend me your ears.
I'm an oromancer.
God damn it, that's my next character.
And what's the name of this village?
It is Westcliff.
Okay.
Guess where it is?
On the west side of the cliff?
Yes.
So I'm going to tap into my days of being a wandering priest and my public speaking. Being somewhat good at getting people, the common people, to come and take heed.
Okay.
I imagine as I'm passing through, people will recognize me maybe as an itinerant or just as a traveling
Probably some of
monk.
the older citizens in town, because it's been a few years since you've been an itinerant.
So I imagine there's probably a few people already possibly there, but I'll climb up on the well and just in my big booming voice.
Yep.
So what was the name of the village again? I'm super
Westcliff.
forgetful tonight.
It's
Westcliff.
literally the village
I-
on the west side of the cliff.
Shut up, Jeremy. People of Westcliff, lend your ears to a weary servant of Tomate. And as people turn towards me, I'll lift up my arms, and the sleeves will come down, showing the stigmata.
Mm-hmm.
Evil marches on its way to this village. They think they are serving God, but they will tear through all of the innocent here in order to reach it. It is a mercenary company, and they care not for you or for justice, but for gold.
Good people who have traveled from villages.
Gather your families and flee to wherever nearby safe place you can go. Please tell your neighbors, tell your loved ones, and pray to Tomate for guidance.
Okay. Are you attempting to get them to join you in prayer? Or are you just trying to get them to understand that they should leave the village?
What's the difference you're trying to get at here?
So if they join you in prayer, I have to double check, but they may be able to assist you to hit some of those larger miracle like magics. Because I don't remember if they have to be priests or if it's anyone of faith. They can help you.
I can look it up real quick.
Here we go. The faithful. That is not what I'm looking for. Join us in prayer. Here we go. Let's see.
Other faithful characters.
Yeah.
Believers may also help those with a belief in the faith. Grant +1 the helping die for every 20 accumulated will dice.
I'm gonna roll a die of fate to see if there's enough people.
Oh, considering that, so can I use the first? So my oratory is going to be more to gather the people around me to listen to me, because I'm giving them the warning.
Do that, and then get them to join you in prayer. Essentially,
Sure.
Essentially, this oratory will get them to come to you to actually join you in the prayer.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I am going to say that the ob is 1, and the more successful you are, the more people show up.
Okay.
I do need to establish how big this village is first, real quick, for my notes.
So there's going to be oratory, and I'll be forking
That
suasion.
seems like such a waste of time considering we're about to burn it down.
I think he's trying
Suasion.
to channel a vision to you right now, so that's why I was bringing this up.
I'd like to fork suasion and ugly truth.
Sure. Sure to both.
And I'll spend fate to open it up.
It's yeah, okay, cool. So I'll take away one of your fate chips.
Okay, since I'm opening it, I'll just type the command instead of doing it normally.
So how you can open it before you roll, if you know you're going to do it, is that box that's next to like your what is it, oratory? Your B4. There's that open-ended. There's a little box. If you hover over it, it says open-ended D6s explode. If you click that, then click the D6, it will open-end it automatically for you.
Cool.
You just have to unclick it when you're done, since you're not making that a permanent thing.
And my obstacle is 1, you said?
Correct. And then I'll unclick your oratory here.
Yep.
Okay, so with a 5, you have 50 people that have gathered. The town has a population of 80.
And it unchecks itself, actually.
I unchecked it, but
Okay. Oh. The illusion is shattered.
so that means you can get 2 helping dice for your prayer.
Is one of those people possibly whatever holy person they have here? Maybe someone who can help in a more substantial fashion?
Let's give you a chance for that. That's a 6. Is not have the holy man.
Does
You get 2 helping dice on your prayer.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm trying. So what am I doing here? I wasn't thinking about doing a prayer before this, but with 2, I have 8 die. Okay.
And none of them have a strong enough will to get you an extra die either, because they're all a bunch of like bird fishermen.
Okay, so I guess I'll try guidance. This is more of the idea here is just to sort of perform a miracle in front of them and maybe give them a vision of what's coming and how to find safety.
Okay.
So a little group vision thing. Let's see. So faith. And I'll spend another fate point. With a modifier of 2. And an obstacle of
Faith
5.
is always open-ended, so are you spending a persona to add a die, or?
Oh, I didn't realize it was always open-ended. Sure, why the hell not?
Okay.
This is the common folk. I have to do right by them.
Okay. Now I can kill him and he can't stop me.
Yep.
Who can kill whom now? What? What did I do?
If you don't have a persona point, you can't cheat death. So I was joking because Brennan just spent his last persona.
So no one kill me. Okay.
Jeremy can get killed twice right now.
So modifier of 3, open-ended, obstacle of 5. Mother.
Wow, man, you rolled 3 1s with that shit.
Your prayer goes silent. Your brains do not glow. People feel reassured, but you know inside your heart that you did not get what you asked for.
Mm-hmm.
These are commoners. They'll never know. The holy man that visits this city wasn't present, so he won't call you out on your BS. But they feel like God is watching them.
But they still believe my warning off of the oratory, right?
Yeah.
That's the important thing.
Yeah, this is a land ravaged by war. When you say, hey, a war band is showing up to kill all of you, they're like, oh shit, we better pack up. In case this guy is wrong, we should still pack up.
We should still pack up and leave.
Because frankly, being alive is better than risking it.
That is the best explanation I've ever heard of a war-torn people ever.
Yeah, I mean...
Pascal's wager.
Yeah.
Okay, so the villagers begin packing up. They are focused mostly on telling their neighbors to pack up and things like that. So the whole town itself is getting ready to GTFO.
Nice.
What do you do next?
Head towards the cliffs.
All right. You will head down the cliffs and you will make it to the caves. The voices will echo and you hear that last bit that Bastille said, that he attempted to do the summoning with an Aldhedge citizen, and that didn't work. So he attempted it again with the body of the should have been a saint. And then when he didn't get it right, he was like, fuck it, I'm just turning in the body to Carvalho, and I'll discover what Carvalho is doing when it happens. And that is about the time that Mason has his opportunity to respond, because I cut him off on purpose.
Yep.
Which you'll also hear as you're walking up. You won't get a chance to interrupt Mason, though.
I promise that atonement is within your reach. Help us stop this evil. Save the people of this blight. That summoning you performed, my men are researching it now. They are learning it as well, so that we know what we face, so we know what we have to combat. Your efforts in this, your abilities would be of great use. I'm telling you, it is not too late to atone for all of your sins.
Bastille looks at you very, very, like, determined, and he says, if this summon will deal a swift blow to Aldhedge and remove them from the Holy Land, then there can be no atonement for me. Atonement starts in your heart, and it is what I truly wish.
Do you know what my darkest thoughts are that I wish would happen? I wish that a dark elf from the jungle would crawl its slithery way up the cliff to the people here, and they would see an iota of the horror that awaits them, so they could arm themselves and be ready. Aldhedge may have wronged you. They may have taken your lands and salted your fields. They are nothing compared to what lies ahead. And when you stand with us in this battle ahead, just like Saint Rudolph did with Tomati, you will wash away that sin. You will know no greater joy than serving Tomati, and you will learn that that is where you belong. And your father, he may never recognize you, but these men already have, and the rest of the people sure will.
If you want these people to see an elf, then you may want to let the ritual happen. That is what I believe it will do.
I've already told my men to find out how to summon it so that we can summon it as well. because I believe we can put it down. And with your help, I'm sure we can put it down. Tom, you stay out of this. Shut up, Tomati.
All right. It is midnight, and I think that's a good place to end as the clericus enters the rebel encampment with like elven writing on the walls and propaganda about killing Aldhedge and stuff like that, and you negotiating with them. Let's talk about end of session stuffs, because this should go pretty quick, because I think you guys accomplished some stuff this time around.
Yay, accomplishing things.
Let's see. Abbott Ansel, your...
I should make characters with their names starting with A more often. I'm always first alphabetically. We always do mine first.
Let's see. We'll learn more about my companions so to be a better guide for them on this road that Tomati has laid before them. Do you feel like you've learned things about your fellows this session?
Mason?
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
5 seconds.
The last 5 seconds, he learned something.
Yeah, that's true. So that's a fate, because that's a fate farm thing. Add that real quick here. Let's see. I will convince Aldhedge delegation that they need to confess their crimes. You haven't done anything to move that forward because you've been occupied with saving people from rampaging conscriptions. Let's see. Mason's eager, needs to learn to pause to understand others before passing judgment.
I would say that's fulfilled. If he's being honest in what he's doing right now.
Yes, Mason is legitimately being honest right now.
Okay.
He has formed a military...
It's for you to say if it's been fulfilled.
So, if I may, I don't think it was necessarily Ansel that fulfilled it, but the fact, like, oh my god, I know what that is. Oh my god, it's much closer than I thought. He has this whole, we all have to come together now, or we die alone.
Mm-hmm.
We either succeed as a group, or we all die alone.
Well, the thing is if the belief is complete, regardless of whether it's a positive or negative complete, it will move forward and be removed from the sheet. If it's positive, like he has contributed to that, then it is.
I do feel that
he has a persona.
I do feel that it's through Ansel that I am able to.
I think in the background, Ansel's done a lot of stuff to make this happen.
Exactly.
So I think it's fair that we give him a persona for that, which I will copy from Jeremy real quick.
Yeah, Jeremy, jerk.
You're welcome for having persona to give out to people.
And then I'll delete that one. The road to God is humble and laborious. It is definitely humbling. I don't think that became a problem for you because you really tried. You were being very faithful, even though I tested you left and right. Let's see. Always lend a hand. Did that instinct get you in trouble? Yes. Though you're not entirely certain how that is going to get you in trouble just yet, but trying to save that prisoner did.
All right, Brendan, your fate farms are killing us here, man.
Have a piece of scripture for every situation did not come up. When met with a group of people, engaged that with the common folk to learn. I don't think you learned anything from engaging with Westcliff. You basically saved them, so it's not completed because it has to be exactly what you put out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do Tom's next because I should have started with Tom in the first place because of the time. Let's see.
And everybody should buy Guns of Icarus online.
Specifically, Guns of Icarus Online Alliance.
Yes.
So close. So close.
Tom,
so far.
I can guarantee you, from the moment Chris turns on the live, I am thinking about the best time to add that in.
Yes. The game is just an excuse for us to say buy Guns of Icarus online.
Like, I don't know if I ever want to start off with it or I want to end with it sometimes. We just want to add it in randomly in the middle. But
it's
yeah,
going to come.
It's always there, Tom. It's always there.
Putting the Abbey on the map. The painting serves towards that goal. Be a fate. Common man should not be looked down on. Did not come up. Regain your position within the die makers. That hasn't caused you trouble yet, but depending on how the church receives the new holy order, that could become a problem. So that's like a later date consequence that may be coming.
Right.
Instincts, always note the lighting composition of the room. That didn't come up. Never be without art supplies. Did not hamper you in any way. See something spectacular new and capture it. It did not distract you from your goals. So that's fine. I'm just looking over your traits real quick. I don't think you have anything that really got in your way. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's everything for Tom. And then we'll grab Mason next.
All right. And in that case, I'm going to bow out. Catch you guys later.
Later, Tom. You sexy beast.
Bye.
The elves are coming. Now I have proof. It's time to prepare. I think you're working towards that because you're definitely doing things that I did not expect you to do, like offer Bastille a sanctuary, really. Because I fully expected you to punish him for crimes against humanity.
We stand together united, or we fall individually.
I will form a militant order. Has been
Who
accomplished.
says he can't do both?
Prove to the faithful that I am from the jungle. You haven't proven it to the church collectively yet, so I don't think you did anything that collectively works towards collectively the church recognizing it.
No.
Getting Lady Kiva knighted was accomplished. So we're going to take that one out now. Let's see here. Always check people for weapons and assess them for threats. The cave was really your only chance, but you went a different way with that. So that was interesting to see. Weapons and armor, words, knight's words to the world, keep them clean, didn't really come up. Whenever I'm invited somewhere, gifted due on both parties. I don't think that came up, but that may be something that we see next episode because you're effectively invited to the rebel encampment in the caves here.
I kind of invited myself.
Yeah, but once you were recognized and everybody went to, okay, it's peaceful here, that is kind of inviting you into such.
So for me, there wasn't a welcome, come in.
Yeah, okay.
However, I will say I have invited these people to come to the Abbey.
Yep.
They may get thrown out real fucking quick.
That is true. Oh, here's one. Your superstitious trait has worked against you. You did not divulge blood magic to any of these foreigners.
Nope.
So you get fate for that. Because you don't want to talk about it in case it actually happens.
Yep.
Let's see here. Yeah, I think that's the only thing that really happened. So the cool thing here is, even though Kiva started as a squire, she's technically now become a major person in the setting. An important person in the setting. So we don't need to change her box, but your relationship with Kiva remains the same. So because you've invested in that relationship, you've basically made it more important to the setting.
Okay, cool.
And you guys can do that with your relationships in general. So.
Is Brendan even alive? Did he die?
Oh, he's over there.
Oh, I didn't see his head in the corner there on his screen. I'm in his little bubble.
Marshall. Here. Build a proper dwarven workshop. Not quite. Build a Dratgom, even if I have to do it piece by piece. Otherwise, what kind of dwarf would I be? I love that you keep saying dwarf in your beliefs, because eventually we're going to have to be like, is Jeremy a dwarf?
Jeremy's a human, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Whoa. Nobody's questioned anything yet. All right? In game.
If he keeps going and believing he's a dwarf and telling you guys he's a dwarf, if he eventually gets you guys to believe to call him a dwarf, essentially, when we go up for trait vote, you guys could actually vote him to become a dwarf.
Yes.
Really?
It's a real thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I will
Give him a round of applause.
The way that will work out narratively is essentially, it's the idea that that mankind's magic is essentially the power of will. And if you guys will it enough, he becomes a dwarf.
Does he just start shrinking over time?
Like that's how narratively you would do it. Yeah. Like you get shorter and your beard gets longer at the same time.
I'm not seeing a problem with this.
You are fully a dwarf when your
It's,
beard hits the ground.
What is that movie with God damn it. It's the Christmas movie where
Oh, the Santa Claus.
yeah, the Santa Claus. Like it's one of those scenes where like the beard's growing, he's getting a little chubbier and shrinking.
He shaves the beard and then gets up from the mirror and it's back.
Once again, I'm not seeing a problem.
Let's see. I will
Dwarven
learn
bodies are
more about my enemies to make any Drakgam I build better suited to fight them. Yeah, you did work towards that. You're pushing to summon a demon just in case you have to fight one of those in the future.
I was also okay with summoning an elf so we could learn that. And I've been trying to study the arm or the hand.
And you did pause your work to work with Francis, which did slow you down a little bit as far as drawing your drawings to.
Yeah.
That's why I haven't asked you for that check yet. Let's see. As Dwarven Smith, I'm always ready to do my job. That instinct worked against you, which is good because you'll get fate for that. Jeremy's like racking in fate points right now.
Hey, this is like the
because-
most.
He's almost up at Brendan. Now he's tied with Brendan.
Because
But I have more
you did
persona.
not do your job. You got told to help Francis with doing this stuff, and then you were like, "Nah, I'm going to design a Drakgam and eat a pizza on this couch while you work."
Like I had essentially two jobs. I cared more about one than the other.
Let's see. We haven't had other Smiths come up, so that one just hasn't had a chance
Yeah.
to be shown yet. And you're always up for learning a new trade. How did you get that one? Because you have it in your special. That should probably be your instinct 3, actually.
Yeah, I think I accidentally put it there. That was not meant to be my special.
Yeah. Okay.
What is the difference
Does
between normal
demon
and
summoning
special?
count as a
If you have a trait that tells you to add another one, it like your sworn homage, or sorry, not your sworn homage, your sworn homage tells you that you need a special belief that's about the Night Order. You
Okay.
can get another one that says you get a special instinct that it has to be about this sort of thing.
Okay. Does that mean I still need another one now, or I fulfilled it, it's gone, I don't get another one?
You will still need another one. Basically, as long as you have that trait, you always have another belief that is about the
Okay.
Night Order in some way, shape, or form.
Okay.
When we go to do the trait vote and we say, okay, the church has recognized, because at that point we'll get an answer if the church recognizes you or not. We can say, okay, you can now have the trait that Militant Order gives you, which basically says you now have a special belief that's about the church or the Night Order in association with the faith, kind of
Okay.
thing. So it's very similar, but it's more targeted towards faith than the order by itself.
Stop
let's
fucking with your fate, Jeremy.
No,
Uh,
I'll do what I want.
I forgot Jeremy's a believer. I forgot you had that.
So I'll give it to you this, Chris. There was no way I could build this the way I wanted to and get rid of believer.
No, it's fine. I mean, eventually, if you just portray yourself as not having faith, the rest of the group will be like, "No, you're not a believer anymore," and we vote that off.
Yeah.
I mean, so far you haven't done anything that necessarily marks you as a believer. But it's cool because it actually does help Brennan if he ever does prayers and stuff for you.
For me, the believer, the way I choose to use it, I've been utilizing that the believer is that I understand that there is something to do with faith. Because I mean, I can do some little bit of magic. People can do magic. Faith. He's seeing faith more like another type of magic.
Mm-hmm.
He's not really sure where they're getting it from because he knows his shit can't interact with their shit. That's about it.
So that's everybody except for Farmer Dan, which I'm going to go over real quick here. He take his seat on the throne. Yeah, he actually worked towards that.
Really, Brendan?
He kind of spilled the beans a little bit to a guy who did not have time to figure out the answer to that. And let's see. Find allies to support my reclamation. Supports that. Because Mass Knight is someone who could support him.
Nate's getting fate points.
He's not even here.
It's like
I
he
was
was here for like
determined
20
someone
minutes
else.
and he's gotten fate points.
This is my favorite. Like, he's got an instinct that should have helped him in this bath scene, but because of the way I handled the bath scene, he was like, "Oh shit, I'm surprised in a bathtub by this like naked warrior." Like, he didn't play to one of his instincts, which is always determine if someone's motives before placing my trust in them. He's like, "Nah, fuck it, masked guy, I trust him." So that's
That didn't work against him.
no, not yet. I mean, it may become a problem later in the future. Keep my physical distance from strangers, which he did do in the bathtub.
He did.
I love that there was a weird bathtub scene today.
The bathtub with a masked dude.
I said it was a bathhouse, so it's like one of those like it's like a big
Like an onsen.
I was gonna say it's like a big pool of water, so it's not like they were sitting inside like it.
But I'm still imagining a dude who's like pretty much half naked except for a towel around his waist and a mask.
Yep.
It's still creepy.
Like
Right.
that's creepy as fuck.
Yeah, when I thought about this NPC, I was like, man, what is the way that he would have the best advantage over them? Oh yeah, and because Nate didn't discover it, the dude has a weapon hidden in the bath, actually.
Where do you think he's hiding that weapon? Well,
He's suitcasing, man.
No, not that. No, he has
Dude, a suitcase and a sword.
no, he has a mace that was underneath the
oh
wall.
shit, that really gotta hurt.
Underneath his what?
It was there was a mace that was already inside the bathtub before or inside the bath before he arrived. It was in the water.
I thought you meant it was underneath his towel. I was like, dude, Jesus, it's called his dick.
I call
So,
my dick the mace.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Why?
Jeremy
Because it
is
beats.
correct. Maces are brutal. They do leave you with terrible wounds and broken bones in the system. Let's see here.
You know, as do maces generally do.
I was gonna say it's not like Pathfinder where it's like, oh, you get bludgeoning damage.
Well,
no.
it's because they simplify it. They don't say like. I'm sorry. In Pathfinder, there is no such thing as ribs.
Yeah. That's everything for Nate. All right,
That's
cool.
right.
So that's all the rewards this time. For everybody that got to tune in, make sure you buy Guns of Icarus online. Now that Tom's not here to stop me.
Yes.
Guns of Icarus Online Alliance.
Yeah,
So-
and I have to do my obligatory plug. I will be doing a Kickstarter for a index card RPG setting called Xiao Yun. So if you like high flying wuxia action, martial arts, and kind of Asian inspired, mostly focusing on Korean and Chinese stories, you can be on the lookout for that starting next year.
Yep, you should definitely
Get
back that, or
Get you some.
you'll be flying ninja kicked in the face
Get you some.
by some yet undetermined flying ninja kicking person.
Probably me being thrown by someone.
Yes.
It's a good call. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the gaming table.